100 questions your brain can't handle. What if the color red you see isn't the exact same red I see? We both point at a stop sign and agree that's red. But what if your internal feeling of red is totally different from mine? What if what you experience as red is something my brain would call blue if it were in your head? This isn't about color blindness, where someone simply can't tell certain colors apart. This is about what your mind actually sees, the private experience of it. For hundreds of years, deep thinkers, philosophers, have pondered this very question. They ask if colors truly exist out there in the world, like a solid object, or if they are mostly made by our brains. Think of it this way. When light bounces off a red apple, it sends out a certain kind of wave. Our eyes catch that wave, but then our brain takes that information and creates the color red for us to see. What if your brain's red creation is just different from mine, even though we both call it the same word? Here's the thing. Think about a song. You might hear it and feel joyful, maybe even want to dance. Your friend hears the very same song, the exact same notes, and feels a little sad or just calm. It's the same sounds hitting their ears, but the feeling, the experience is different. It's like that with red. The light waves hit our eyes the same way, but what our brain makes of them inside might be unique for each of us. And that's why it matters. It reminds us that everyone lives inside their own private world of senses and feelings. It means we can never truly know what it's like to be someone else, to see through their eyes, or feel with their heart. So when we try to understand each other, we have to remember that even the simplest things, like a color, can be a deep mystery. It makes us think about empathy, doesn't it? About how much we rely on trust and shared words to bridge these hidden gaps between us. Have you ever tried to really picture nothing? Not just a dark room or an empty field, but truly nothing at all. It's a strange challenge, isn't it? Our brains, it turns out, are pretty terrible at it. When we try to think of nothing, we often end up picturing empty space, or darkness, or a void. But here's the thing. Space is still something. Darkness is still light's absence, and a void, it's still a void. For thousands of years, people have puzzled over this. Ancient thinkers, like some of the old Greek philosophers, argued that nothingness couldn't really exist. If something exists, it's something. If it doesn't exist, then you can't even talk about it. They believed that thinking about nothing was like trying to catch air with your bare hands. Think about this. Imagine a perfectly clean, brand new whiteboard. It's blank, right? But you're still seeing a whiteboard. You're seeing its white surface, its edges, maybe the wall it hangs on. You can't imagine blankness without attaching it to something. Our minds constantly fill in the gaps, creating pictures and ideas even when we try to clear them out. So, maybe the trick isn't that our brains can't handle nothing. Perhaps it's that nothing isn't really a thing to handle. It's more like a question mark, where there used to be a noun. It's a reminder of how amazing our minds are, always creating, always perceiving, always looking for something to understand. And that's a pretty cool thought, isn't it? You ever stop to think about a single moment, like the one you're in right now? It's this really tricky thing, isn't it? The very instant you try to grab onto now, it's already slipped away. It's not something you can hold. It's just this tiny, moving point, always heading into the future, leaving the past behind. People have been wondering about this for thousands of years. Ancient philosophers, like the wise thinkers in Greece, really puzzled over it. Some said time was like a river, always flowing, so you could never step into the same now twice. It just changed endlessly. Others saw time more like a long, steady road. But even on that road, the now was just where your feet were. It made them ask, is time a real thing, or just a feeling in our minds? Think about listening to your favorite song. Each note plays, and that's now. The moment it sounded, it's gone, replaced by the next. But the note doesn't vanish into nothing. It just becomes part of the song's flow, building the melody. Each tiny now of a note has played its part and moved on, adding to the whole experience of the song. So where does now go? Maybe it doesn't vanish. Perhaps each now simply transforms, turning into our memories, becoming the fabric of our personal history. Every passing second helps build who we are and what we remember. This teaches us that each fleeting moment is precious, because it's the only real chance we have to live. It's about being present, knowing that even though now is always leaving, it's also always shaping us. Imagine someone tells you, right now, whatever you do not think about a pink elephant. What happens? For most of us, that pink elephant with its big ears and tiny tusks immediately pops into our mind. It's almost impossible to push it away. This isn't just a silly game. It shows us something important about how our brains work. Here's the thing. When we try hard to suppress a thought, a part of our mind actually has to keep checking to make sure we're not thinking it. And in doing so, it keeps that very thought alive and present. It's like a mental alarm system that by constantly checking for the danger, the thought you want to avoid, actually keeps ringing. This interesting mental trick was studied by a psychologist named Daniel Wegner. He called it the ironic process theory. He found that trying to control our thoughts too much can backfire, making those thoughts even stronger. It's also known as the white bear problem, from a similar idea, because trying not to think of a white bear just makes you see it more clearly in your mind. This concept isn't new. Philosophers for centuries have noticed how tricky our minds can be when we try to force them. Think about trying not to make a certain mistake in a sports game. The more you focus on not messing up that pass, the more likely you are to fumble it. Or if someone tells you not to laugh during a serious moment, suddenly everything seems funnier. So what does this tell us? It suggests that true control over our minds isn't about forcing thoughts away. It's more about acknowledging them, letting them pass rather than fighting them. Our minds are vast, and sometimes the quietest way to deal with a thought is not to struggle, but to simply observe it. It reminds us that our brain has its own rhythm, its own curious ways of working, and sometimes the gentlest approach is the most powerful. Can a machine built from metal and code truly feel something like happiness? It's a question that makes us pause. We see robots that can smile or even say, "I'm so happy to help." But is that real feeling or just a programmed response? Here's the thing. When a human feels happy, it's a complex mix. Our brains release chemicals. We have memories, hopes, and connections. It's an inner state, not just an outer action. For centuries, thinkers have wondered what gives humans this inner life. Some called it a soul, others pointed to our unique brains. No matter the explanation, emotions like happiness have always seemed deeply human, tied to being alive and aware in a certain way. Think about it like this. Your dog wags its tail like crazy when you walk through the door. It seems truly happy, right? You believe it has a real feeling of joy. Now, imagine a toy robot dog that also wags its tail when you say hello. It might even bark happily. But is that little robot feeling joy, or is it just following the instructions its programmer gave it? It's designed to act happy, to mimic the tail wag. It doesn't have a brain like your dog or a human. It has circuits. And that's why it matters when we ask if a robot can feel happy. A robot can certainly show happiness based on its programming. It can make a happy face or say happy words. But to actually feel it, to experience that warmth or lightness inside, that might be something entirely different. It reminds us how special our own feelings are, how truly unique the human experience of happiness can be. Our joy isn't just an action, it's a profound part of who we are. Have you ever woken up from a dream so real you weren't sure what was true for a moment? You know, The kind where you can still feel the sun on your skin, or hear your friend's voice even after your eyes open. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if this whole world, everything around us, is just one giant, incredibly vivid dream? This isn't a new idea. Smart thinkers, philosophers, have wondered about this for thousands of years. They asked, how can we really know anything is real? They thought about how our senses can sometimes trick us. What we see or hear isn't always exactly what's there. So, how can we be sure our entire experience isn't just a trick of our minds? Think about playing a super immersive video game, like one of those virtual reality games. You put on the headset and suddenly you're in another world. You might run, jump, or even feel a bit scared. For a moment, it feels totally real. Your brain believes it. Then, you take the headset off, and you're back in your room. This question asks, what if we never take the headset off? What if we're always inside that game? It's a big question and there's no easy answer. But here's the thing. Even if life is like a dream, the feelings we have are real. The joy, the sadness, the love for our friends and family. Those experiences matter. They shape who we are. So, whether this is all real or just a beautiful illusion, our journey through it is important. Every moment we share, every connection we make, is something truly special. Number 1. Have you ever woken up from a really vivid dream, and for a few seconds, you weren't quite sure if you were still asleep? What if this feeling, that small flicker of doubt, stayed with you all day? What if the world around you, right now, with all its sights and sounds, is just the most detailed dream your brain has ever created? It's a strange thought, but it's one humans have pondered for centuries. Here's the thing. Our brains are incredible storytellers. When we dream, our minds build entire worlds. They create people, places, and even feelings that seem completely real while we're in them. The taste of dream food, the rush of flying, the fear of falling, it all feels true. So, how can we be sure this moment isn't just another one of those incredibly detailed stories? Hundreds of years ago, a French thinker named René Descartes wrestled with this very question. He wondered if there was anything he could be absolutely certain of, anything that wasn't just a trick of his senses or even a long, elaborate dream. He thought about how our senses can sometimes fool us, how something far away looks small, or how a stick in water looks bent. If our senses can trick us sometimes, how can we trust them all the time? Think about how different a dream can be from real life. In a dream, you might try to read a book, but the words blur or change every time you look away. You might try to run, but your legs feel heavy and slow. Or you might meet someone and they suddenly transform into someone else. In the real world, things usually follow steady rules. Books stay readable, gravity keeps you grounded, and people don't suddenly turn into birds. This steadiness, this predictability, is one way we tell the difference. But maybe the deeper answer isn't about rules, but about connection. This question isn't meant to make you doubt everything, but to gently remind you of the incredible gift of consciousness. We share this reality, this moment with others. We can talk about it, learn from it, and feel things together, even if we can't prove we're not dreaming. We choose to live as if we are awake, finding meaning and wonder in the world that feels so wonderfully real. It's a quiet, humbling thought, isn't it? I mean, you're like you haven't safe sciencing or sound. I can't even always coming for the big dune, looking at their action. Have you ever really thought about what sound actually is? It seems simple, but it's one of those questions that makes your brain pause. Here's the thing. When a tree crashes to the ground, it definitely creates vibrations. These vibrations travel through the air, like invisible ripples in a pond. But for those vibrations to become sound, the kind we hear, they need something special. They need an ear to pick them up, and a brain to make sense of them. So, if no ear is there, no brain to translate those ripples, then no sound happens. It's just physical energy moving. The tree falls, the air vibrates, but the experience of a sound is missing. People have debated this for hundreds of years. Ancient Greek thinkers and later philosophers in Europe, they all chewed on this idea. They asked, does something truly exist in the way we think it does? Or does our understanding of it create its reality? Some argued that the world exists just as it is, whether we're there or not. But others said that sound isn't just air moving, it's an experience. Without a listener, It's only potential. It's like asking if a joke is funny if no one hears it. The words are there, but the funny part, the laughter, only happens with a listener. Consider a lamp in an empty, dark room. The lamp is on, and it's sending out light particles. But is it truly lighting the room if no eyes are there to see the brightness? It's just emitting energy. The light, the brightness. That's an experience created when our eyes and brain work together. So when we wonder about the falling tree, we're really thinking about how much our own minds shape the world we live in. Our senses aren't just receivers, they're interpreters. They take all the raw information from outside and turn it into the colorful, noisy, solid reality we feel. It makes you think about how much of what we call real depends on us being there to perceive it. It's a quiet reminder that our world in many ways is built within us. Have you Unheard further? However about among sound. Recited by you if are wild on the world. However are still the run. It's recommended the importance other one obsidunt this moment feeling like how I successful. Probably not, right? Not even that first breath or the sound of the world as it first hit your ears. It's a strange thought, isn't it? That the very start of your life, that incredible moment is gone from your memory. Here's the thing. Almost no one remembers being born or even their first few years. Scientists call this infantile amnesia. Our brains, for a while, aren't built to save those long, detailed memories like adult brains do. Your brain is busy building its main parts. It's learning to see, hear, move, and understand language. It's like a new house being built. You don't remember the laying of the very first brick, but those bricks are essential for the whole house to stand strong. People have wondered about this for a long, long time. Thinkers like Sigmund Freud, even way back, wondered about this. It seems strange to them that we don't remember our very first years. He thought maybe some early feelings were too strong. But now, we know it's really about how a baby's brain grows. The parts that make and keep detailed memories are still forming. Think about learning to talk. You don't remember your first word, do you? Or all the sounds you heard before you understood them. But all that listening and trying built the language skills you use every day. Or imagine learning to ride a bike. You probably don't remember the exact moment you first balanced, but you definitely learned how to ride. Those early tries shaped you, even if you can't see them clearly in your mind. So, not remembering being born isn't a problem with your memory. It's just how our amazing brains work. It's a quiet sign of the deep changes happening inside us, even before we really knew ourselves. That very early time, even if you don't remember it, is a huge part of who you are now. It's like a hidden root that supports your whole life. It shows us that some of the most important beginnings are lived and built into us, more than just remembered. Have you ever stopped to wonder about time itself? We use it every day, minute by minute, hour by hour. But what if time wasn't always here? This is one of those questions that truly makes your brain pause. It feels like time must have always existed, just stretching back forever. But for many thinkers, and even in science, that idea might not be right. Think about it like this. If time began, what was before it? The answer might be that there was no before. It's like asking what's north of the North Pole. There isn't anything more north because you are already at the very top. In the same way, if time had a starting point, then the idea of before time just doesn't make sense. Ancient philosophers puzzled over this. They wondered if time was an endless river, or if it was created along with everything else. A famous thinker named St. Augustine said that God didn't create the world in time, but with time. For him, time itself was part of what was made. Modern science, with the Big Bang theory, has a similar idea. It says our universe and time as we know it all began at one single moment. Before that moment, the very fabric of space and time simply didn't exist. So time didn't do anything because it wasn't there to do anything. Imagine hitting play on a movie. The movie's story, its sequence of events, only begins when you press that button. Before that, there's no story time happening on the screen. Just a paused image or a black screen. The time of the movie only starts when the movie itself starts. This idea can feel strange, hard to fully grasp. It makes us rethink how cause and effect work. But here's the thing. It reminds us how huge and mysterious our universe is. It's a question without an easy answer, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes the most powerful questions are the ones that lead us into deeper thought. They show us the limits of what we know and the endless wonder of existence. It makes you realize that some of the biggest truths are found in the things we can't quite picture with our minds. Do you ever stop and truly think about your choices? The big ones, like what classes to take next year, or even small ones, like what to eat for lunch. It feels like you're the one in charge, right? You decide. But here's the thing. What if that feeling of control is just an illusion? What if your decisions are actually just a complex set of reactions, like a path already laid out for you? This question about free will has puzzled thinkers for thousands of years. Some ancient philosophers wondered if our lives were simply fate, like a story written down before we even lived a single day. Later, with more science, some people started to see the brain as an incredibly complex machine. They wondered if every thought, every choice, was simply the result of electrical signals and chemical reactions, determined by everything that came before it. Like dominoes falling, one after another, leading to a specific outcome. Think about choosing a snack after school. You reach for an apple. You feel like you chose that apple. But here's what might be happening. Maybe your body was low on a certain nutrient, or you saw a healthy ad earlier. Or your friend just talked about apples. All those tiny things, do they subtly push your choice without you even realizing it? Is your brain just responding to a million signals? Or are you truly deciding, completely free from influence? It's a mind-bending thought. This doesn't mean your life is meaningless. It just means we're exploring the deep mystery of what it truly means to be human. Whether we're authors of our own story or characters in a script, the journey itself, the questions we ask, and the way we experience it, is still ours to live. It's a quiet wonder, knowing that even our simplest choices hold such a vast, unexplained depth. Have you ever really thought about why we feel what we feel? Like, why does sadness hit so hard or joy make you want to shout? It's a deep question, and it turns out emotions aren't just random feelings that pop up. They're like built-in signals our brains create. Them to tell us important things about the world around us and what's happening inside us. They help us react, learn, and survive. Think of them as vital messages from your inner self. For a long time, people thought emotions were just messy, something to control or even hide. Ancient thinkers, like some Greek philosophers, believed we should try to be super rational and not let feelings get in the way. But here's the thing. Even they knew feelings were powerful and hard to ignore. Later, scientists started seeing them not as problems, but as vital parts of our human design. They realized emotions have a purpose, helping us survive and thrive in a complex world. Imagine you're walking home and suddenly you feel a pang of fear. Maybe you hear a strange noise or see a shadow move in a weird way. That fear isn't just uncomfortable. It's your brain telling you, pay attention, be careful. It makes your heart race, your senses sharpen, helping you decide whether to run, hide, or be ready. Or think about happiness when you get a good grade on a test you studied hard for. That good feeling isn't just nice. It tells your brain, hey, you did something right, do more of that. So emotions aren't just feelings that happen to us. They are a deeply wired part of being human. They connect us to each other and to our experiences. They guide us. They show us what we care about, what we need, and what we value. They are the colors of our inner world, helping us navigate the complex story of our lives. And that's why they matter so much. They're a fundamental part of what makes us, us. Have you ever stopped to wonder if your brain can actually think without using words? It's a strange question, isn't it? We use language all the time to describe what we're thinking, to make sense of our world. But what if there's another kind of thought happening inside us, a quiet hum, not connected to sentences or definitions? Imagine trying to solve a puzzle. You're not saying, this piece goes here. Instead, you just see it. You feel the shape, you mentally turn it, you know it fits. That knowing often comes before any words. Or think about a musician playing a song. They aren't thinking G major chord, then D minor. They are feeling the music, letting their fingers move as if guided. It's a flow of pure understanding, without a narrator in their head. For a long time, people have asked this question. Ancient thinkers wondered if our thoughts were born in language, or if language was just a way to express ideas that already existed. Some believe our deepest understanding, our gut feelings, happen before words arrive. It's like how a baby understands a parent's emotion before they can speak. They don't need a dictionary to know if someone is happy or sad. They just feel it. So here's the thing. Words are incredibly powerful tools. They let us share amazing, complex ideas. They help us learn and remember. But maybe our truest thinking, the deep, essential processing our brains do, lives in a space beyond words. It's a quiet place where feelings, images, and raw understanding connect. It reminds us that our minds are vast and mysterious, holding so much more than we can ever put into spoken language. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? The silent depth of our own minds, always working, always understanding, even when we don't have the words to say it out loud. Sexus. The color green smell like? It sounds like a strange question, right? Colors are things we see. Smells are things we breathe in. They usually feel like separate experiences. But for some people, these senses aren't neatly separated. For them, seeing a specific color can actually trigger a scent, a sound, or even a taste. This fascinating way of experiencing the world is called synesthesia. It's when your brain links different senses together. So, for a person with synesthesia, the vibrant green of a fresh leaf might truly have the distinct smell of cut grass, or the cool, damp scent of a forest after rain. This idea of senses mixing isn't new. For centuries, thinkers and artists explored how our senses connect. Ancient poets wrote about sounds having colors, and musicians tried to create color music. Philosophers have long wondered how we truly perceive the world. It reminds us that our brain isn't just a simple machine. It's an incredibly complex, creative force. It processes everything in unique ways, shaping our entire reality. We are only just beginning to understand these deep connections inside our minds. Think about this in your own life. Maybe you hear a song from your childhood. Suddenly, you don't just hear the music. You might feel a specific emotion, or picture a place you haven't seen in years. Or you might smell freshly baked cookies and instantly feel warmth, like you're back in your grandmother's kitchen. Your senses are linked through memory and emotion. For someone with synesthesia, these links are stronger, more direct, and happen automatically. The world for them is a constant blend of sights, sounds, smells, and tastes. The bright yellow of a sunflower might taste sweet, and the deep blue of the ocean might hum a low note. So, when we ask, what does the color green smell like? We're touching on a deeper truth about perception itself. It makes us realize how unique each person's experience of the world can be. What one person sees as just a color, another might experience as a full sensory symphony. It makes you wonder how much we truly know about reality, doesn't it? It shows us that the world is far more mysterious and rich than we usually imagine. And perhaps the way your brain experiences things is just as wonderfully intricate and unique. Have you ever considered how things change slowly, like your favorite old toy? If you replace a broken wheel, then an arm, then its whole body over time, is it still the original toy? This isn't just a kid's question. People have wondered about this for thousands of years. Imagine a famous old ship sailing for hundreds of years. A plank gets old, so they replace it. Then another, then a mast. Slowly, over many years, every single piece of wood, every rope, even every nail is replaced. Is it still the ship that first sailed? Or is it a new ship just with the old name? This ancient puzzle is called the Ship of Theseus. Thinkers long ago asked, what makes something itself? Is it the material, its shape, what it does, or something deeper than its parts? Here's the thing. Think about you. You are growing and changing daily. Cells in your body constantly die, and new ones replace them. In about 7 years, almost every cell in your body will be brand new. Are you the exact same person you were 7 years ago, or a different person with the same memories and name? It's a deep thought. It makes us consider what identity truly means. Maybe it's not just about the physical pieces. Maybe it's more about the story something carries, or how it keeps going as its parts transform. It makes you quietly wonder what truly stays steady, in a world that never stops moving. Art. The Cybel's called specifics teen. Were you? I want to go into the Stephen Coates with a mast once to do, where they made it to Stasies and Gettle to its approach to with. Asked Arestus Stasies and cares. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered how many stars there are? Or tried to count the grains of sand on a beach? It feels like forever, right? But here's the thing. Infinity is even bigger than that. Way, way bigger. Most of us think of infinity as a number that never ends, and in a way, that's true. It means something that has no limit, no endpoint. It just keeps going and going. But here's what's cool. Ancient thinkers, even in old Greece, wondered if there could be different sizes of infinity. Sounds wild, doesn't it? Think about the counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. You can always add one more. They go on forever. That's one kind of infinity. But now, think about all the numbers between 0 and 1, like 0.1, 0.01, 0.001. There are endless tiny fractions and decimals just in that small space. It turns out there are actually more numbers between 0 and 1 than there are counting numbers. This was a big idea that someone named George Cantor helped us understand. He showed that some infinities are bigger than others even though they are all endless. This can help you see that infinity isn't just one huge, blurry concept. It has layers we can't fully grasp. And that's okay. It reminds us that some things, even in math, go beyond what we can truly picture or fully know. It leaves us with a quiet sense of wonder, a feeling that some mysteries are meant to stay wonderfully, beautifully endless. The top college is not leaving in a big trial. Art. Have you ever stopped to truly think about what truth means? It sounds simple, right? Like, the sky is blue, or 2 plus 2 is 4. But here's the thing. What we think is true can feel very different. It changes depending on who you are or what time you live in. What is real? It's what is factual. It's what we can rely on. But what if that real actually changes? People have wondered about this for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, like those in Greece, sat around and argued. They asked, is truth something solid, always the same, like a mountain? Or is it something we create in our own minds? Is it shaped by what we see and feel? They wondered if what we see as true is actually the whole picture. Our entire world is built on what we believe to be true. Think about it like this. Imagine watching a magic show. The magician does a trick like making a coin disappear. You saw it happen. But did the coin really disappear? Your eyes say yes, but your brain knows it's an illusion. The truth is the coin is still there, just hidden. So your first idea isn't the full truth. Or remember when people believed the earth was flat? That was their truth for ages. Then, science showed it was round. So truth can change as we learn more. Insit. And that's why it matters. It teaches us that being open-minded is key. What seems totally true to you today might look different tomorrow. It might look different through someone else's eyes. It's not about being wrong. It's about growing. Understanding this helps us be more curious. It makes us more understanding. And it makes us a little less sure we have all the answers. This search for what is real is a quiet journey. Maybe the journey itself is the most important part, or part of the channel. And if you can first into managers, slowly tone, again, would have got it fine. Slowly tone, last your justice. Have you ever stopped to really think about what your imagination does? It's a powerful tool, right? But here's the thing. Can you truly imagine something you have never ever experienced in any way? Something that doesn't use any parts of things you have seen? Think about it. If I ask you to imagine a creature, you might picture a dragon. But a dragon is really just a lizard mixed with a bat breathing fire. Fire is real. Lizards are real. Bats are real. Your brain takes pieces of what it knows and puts them together in new ways. It's like having a giant box of Legos. You can build anything you want, but you're still using the bricks you already have. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers wondered if our minds are just reflections of the world around us. Are we always building on what's already there, or can we invent something totally new? There's polarray. Consider a color. We see red, blue, green, and all the colors in between. We know there are colors outside what we can see, like ultraviolet or infrared. But you can't picture ultraviolet light as a color, can you? You know it exists, but you don't have a mental image of it like you do for blue. Your brain just doesn't have that color brick in its Lego box. And that's why it's so interesting. Our imagination feels limitless, like it can create anything. But maybe its real power isn't in making something from nothing. Maybe its true wonder is how it remixes and reforms the billions of tiny pieces of swar, information we gather every day. It reminds us that our minds, vast as they are deeply connected to the world we live in. They are shaped by every sight, sound, and feeling we've ever known. It's a quiet thought, but kind of amazing, don't you think? Chapter 4. Driving. Think about that for a moment. When you rip a piece of paper or tear a favorite drawing, does the picture itself scream? Does the ink bleed out of sorrow? It's a strange question, but it gets at something deep about how we understand the world around us. Pain, as we usually think of it, is a signal. It's a message sent through nerves to a brain, telling a living body that something is wrong. A human feels pain because we have a complex nervous system. A dog yelps because it has nerves and a brain that process sensations. But a picture? It doesn't have cells or nerves or a brain to process any signal. It's just paper and ink. For thousands of years, people have wondered about what makes something alive. Ancient Greek thinkers, like Aristotle, spent a lot of time trying to figure out what gave things life or soul. They observed that plants grow, animals move and feel, but rocks just sit there. They understood there was a fundamental difference. And here's the thing, a picture, like a rock, is not alive in that way. It doesn't have the biological parts needed to experience anything, not joy and certainly not pain. Consider this. You might have a drawing from when you were little. Maybe it's a messy crayon drawing of your family or a worn photograph of a moment you cherish. If that drawing gets torn, you might feel a pang. You might feel sad or even a little angry because that drawing holds memories for you. It means something to you. But the drawing itself isn't feeling sad. It's just a collection of lines and colors, paper or pixels. Your feelings are real, tied to your memories and connections, but the paper has no such connection. So, when we tear a picture, we aren't causing suffering. We're simply changing an object. The pain we might imagine comes from our own feelings, from the meaning we put into that image. It reminds us that feelings truly belong to living beings, to creatures with minds and hearts, to anything that can process signals and react to the world around them. The objects around us are silent. They don't have these capabilities. They are just paper and ink or wood and metal. They simply exist, waiting for us to give them meaning. They do not feel for themselves. And that's a quiet, humbling thought, isn't it? Our vast world is filled with countless things, and we are the unique ones who carry the capacity for feeling, for connection, for both joy and sorrow. Lost row, wandering into arrows. Ever studied really hard for a test, then had a key fact just slip away right when you needed it? Or maybe you met someone new, heard their name, and a minute later, it was gone. Here's the thing, our brains are amazing, but they aren't perfect recording devices like a video camera. We often think of memory as something we store, like files on a computer, but it's much more active than that. Your brain constantly decides what's important and what's not. It's like a careful curator in a vast museum, choosing what exhibits to keep front and center, and what to tuck away, or even discard. For centuries, thinkers have puzzled over this. Ancient Greek philosophers like Plato sometimes thought of memory like impressions pressed into a wax tablet. But even then, they knew the wax could be soft, or the impression faint, causing us to forget. They understood memory wasn't always a solid, unchanging thing. Imagine your closet. If you never cleared it, it would get so full of old clothes and broken things you don't need. You'd never find anything new or useful. Your brain does something similar. It clears out old, less used information to make room for new learning, or to keep itself from getting overloaded. So, forgetting that random fact from a TV show you watched last year isn't a mistake. It's your brain being efficient. It's making space for the math formula you need for tomorrow's class, or the name of a new friend. So, when a memory fades, it's not always a sign of failure. Sometimes it's your brain wisely letting go. It helps us move on from past events, whether good or bad, and prevents us from being overwhelmed by every single detail of every single second we've ever lived. Forgetting, in a way, lets us focus on the present. It helps us make sense of the world without being buried under an endless pile of yesterday. It's a quiet, complex dance between remembering and letting go, shaping who we are and what we learn next. Have you ever wondered what was before? Well, everything? When we talk about the Big Bang, we're really talking about the very beginning of our universe. It's not just a huge explosion, but the moment space, time, and all the matter we know started to expand rapidly from something incredibly tiny and hot. Think of it like the very first frame of a movie, where suddenly, the whole story of our cosmos begins to unroll. But here's where it gets tricky. If the Big Bang was the start of space and time itself, then what does before even mean? It's like asking what's north of the North Pole. Once you're at the North Pole, every direction you walk is south. Our human minds, though, are naturally wired to look for a beginning to everything. People have asked questions about creation and origins for thousands of years, long before we even knew about the Big Bang theory. It's a deep, old puzzle that stretches back to ancient philosophers who stared up at the stars and simply wondered. This kind of question makes us face the edge of our understanding. So, how can we even begin to think about something that came before time? Imagine you're playing a brand new video game. The game starts when you press play. All the rules of that game, all the characters, the whole world within the game, it all exists only after you press play. Asking what happened before the Big Bang is a bit like asking what happened inside the game before it even started. The rules of our universe, the laws of physics that help us understand everything, might not have existed in the same way or at all before that defining moment. It's a question that shows us the limits of what we know, and maybe even the limits of how our minds think about time and existence. We might never find a simple answer. And that's truly okay. Sometimes, the most beautiful questions are the ones that simply make us wonder, reminding us how much mystery is still out there. They invite us to quietly reflect on the vastness of what we don't yet grasp, and the beauty of being curious. What if you could step back in time, even for just a moment? Imagine you could whisper a different word, or shift a single stone. Would that small ripple truly change the mighty river of what's to come? This isn't just a fun thought. It's one of the deepest questions our minds can try to untangle. Think about it like this. Every single event is connected, like an endless chain of dominoes. One falls, and it nudges the next, and so on. If you could go back and stop just one domino from falling, or make it fall in a different direction, what would happen to all the others? Would the entire pattern of the future completely rearrange itself, or would it somehow find a way to snap back to what it was meant to be? Philosophers and deep thinkers have wrestled with this idea for thousands of years. They wondered if time is like a flowing river, always moving forward, or if it's more like a vast ocean where every possible path already exists. Some believed our lives were set in stone, a destiny we couldn't escape. Others argued that every single choice we make, every tiny decision, is truly free and shapes the very next moment. Here's a small example from your own life. Imagine you're getting ready for school and decide to grab a different colored pencil than usual. A tiny, almost meaningless choice, right? But what if that specific pencil was the one you dropped, and picking it up made you miss the bus by 2 seconds? And because you missed that bus, you ended up on a later one, sitting next to someone new you'd never met before, and that meeting changed your whole day or even your week. A single, small action, a tiny shift in the past, could lead to a completely different present. So, if you change one small thing, does the whole future unravel and reshape itself? Or is there something about time that pulls things back to a certain path? It makes you wonder about every choice we make right now, doesn't it? Every word, every action, every path we take. It reminds us that time is a mystery, and our place within it is both tiny and incredibly significant. Have you ever stopped and wondered, what if you're the only conscious being in the entire world? It's a strange thought, right? Makes you pause. Here's the thing. This idea isn't new. People have pondered it for a long time. Imagine your own mind as the only true living spark. Everyone else, your friends, your family, they might just be incredibly convincing characters. They seem real, They talk, but their inner thoughts and feelings might not truly exist outside of your perception. Centuries ago, a thinker named René Descartes explored this. He doubted everything, his senses, his dreams. But he couldn't doubt that he was thinking. So he said, "I think, therefore I am." This meant he knew he was real because he could think. His idea still makes us wonder, what if everyone else isn't as truly real as you are? Think about playing a video game. You are the player, making choices and feeling emotions. But the other characters, the NPCs, non-player characters, they follow a script. They react, they talk, but they don't have their own genuine thoughts or feelings, do they? What if our world is kind of like that, and you're the only real player? It's a thought that can make your head spin. But here's why it matters. Even if it's just a thought, it makes us look closer at our connections. It makes us appreciate that deep down we hope everyone else is real, that their laughter and tears mean something, just like ours. This thought helps us see the amazing mystery of what it means to be alive and to connect with others. It reminds us to cherish the shared moments we have. Have you ever really looked at your reflection and noticed something strange? Your right hand appears on the left side of the mirror, but your head doesn't swap with your feet. Why does a mirror seem to flip you horizontally, but not vertically? It's a common, simple question. Here's the thing. Mirrors don't actually flip left or right. What a mirror does is flip things front to back. If you point your nose towards the mirror, your reflection's nose is also pointing back at you. Your right hand stays on your right side, even in the reflection. The flip you see happens because your brain expects to see yourself as if another person is standing opposite you, but facing the same direction. Since the mirror reverses depth, that mental comparison makes it seem like left and right swapped. People have pondered this for ages. Ancient thinkers knew mirrors could play tricks, making them wonder about what was real and what was just an appearance. To see this clearly, write your name on a clear piece of paper. Now hold it up to a mirror. Your name looks backward, right? That's because the letters are reversed along the front to back line. But if you lift the paper up, your reflection also lifts it up. The up-down direction isn't changed, only the depth. So a mirror isn't choosing to flip your sides. It's just showing you a world.
How our brains try to make sense of what they see. This little puzzle reminds us that we don't just look at the world, we are always interpreting it, trying to fit new information into what we already know. A mirror is a quiet, everyday example of how our minds actively create our reality. Henry Stepter. Can you tickle yourself? It sounds simple, right? But try it. Really try. You probably can't get that squirmy, giggling feeling. Here's the thing. Your brain is too smart for it. When someone else tickles you, your brain gets a surprise. It doesn't know exactly where or how the touch will land. But when you do it, your brain does know. A small part of your brain, the cerebellum, is always predicting what your body will do. So, when your fingers move to tickle your ribs, your cerebellum sends a signal saying, "Heads up, self-tickle incoming." It basically cancels out the ticklish sensation before it even starts. This idea of your brain knowing what you are doing goes back a long way. Ancient thinkers, like the Greeks, talked about know thyself. Our brains seem built to understand the difference between us acting and the world acting upon us. It's a way your brain sorts through all the information around you. It's a bit like trying to scare yourself in a dark room when you already know where everything is. You won't actually jump, but if a friend moves a chair, or if you walk into a totally new, dark room, suddenly you're on edge. Your brain needs the unexpected. It needs the world to show it something new, something it hasn't predicted. So, the inability to tickle yourself isn't a failure. Instead, it shows how complex and aware your brain is. It's always trying to understand what's new and important in the world by filtering out what you are already doing. It's a constant dance between the known and the unknown, helping you focus on the real surprises life has to offer. And that's pretty amazing, don't you think? In a restapter, it's solid taker into the evening that's selected. Our listed type when you see range and restapter. Have you ever stopped to wonder what your own brain sees when it looks at itself? It's a strange thought, right? Your brain is busy seeing the world around you, the desk, the sky, your friends. But it doesn't have eyes to look inward at its own squishy self. Here's the thing, your brain doesn't actually see itself as a gray, wrinkly organ. Instead, what your brain looks like to itself is your entire experience of being alive. It's the warmth of the sun, the taste of your favorite food, the sound of music, your deepest thoughts, and the very feeling of being you. It creates all of this for you. For thousands of years, thinkers have puzzled over this. They asked if what we see is really real. They wondered about the difference between your mind, your thoughts and feelings, and the physical brain, just a bunch of cells. Your mind is how you experience everything, but it's outside itself. Your face, a landscape. But the camera itself can't take a picture of its own lens from the inside, can it? It's busy recording the world through that lens. Your brain is like that camera. It experiences the world through its own amazing processes, but it can't snap a selfie of its working parts. So your brain doesn't have a self-image you could draw. Its self-image is the incredible, complex reality it builds moment by moment, just for you. It's the silent, unseen worker behind the curtain, creating the show of your entire life. And knowing that makes the everyday world feel even more magical. It's like living inside your own personal universe. Song Tindoing is 1,576 loses lenting 27 days of both meeting budget. Have you ever really stopped to think about a yawn? That deep, wide stretch, the sudden breath, often when you're completely drained? It feels simple, just a sign you're tired. But, like many body actions, it's more interesting than it seems. For a long time, people thought yawning was just about needing more oxygen. But that idea doesn't quite fit what we know now. Here's what many scientists believe. Yawning is a kind of brain cooling system. When you're tired, your brain has been working hard. It might get a tiny bit warmer. A big yawn brings in a rush of cooler air. The stretch of your jaw muscles also pumps more blood to your head, helping lower your brain's temperature. It's like your brain is trying to cool itself, almost like a computer fan kicking in. Ancient thinkers, like the Greeks, wondered about yawning. Some believed it let out bad air, showing how long humans have tried to understand this simple act. Imagine your brain like a high-performance computer. When it's been working hard, it can get warm. A yawn is like the computer's fan kicking on. It brings in fresh air to help it run smoothly for a moment. It's a quick cool down, a gentle nudge from your body saying, "I need a quick refresh." It won't keep you awake forever, but it's a clever trick. So, when that deep yawn comes, it's more than just sleepiness. It's a quiet testament to your body's amazing design, a gentle reminder of its hidden efforts to care for you. Even common actions hold quiet wisdom. It's a silent language spoken by your biology, guiding you toward balance and rest. It makes you wonder what other secrets our bodies hold, doesn't it? What have you stopped to in all of our names? What have you really row? In the world to something nor serves. Have you ever just stopped and wondered, what's the point of all this? Or maybe, why are we even here? It's a big question, one your brain might try to grasp, but it's slippery. We feel this pull to find meaning, like there should be a reason for everything that happens, for our own lives, even for the vast universe. For thousands of years, people have wrestled with this idea. Thinkers from ancient Greece to today have debated, said, "No, there's no fixed point. We create it as we go. It's not about right or wrong answers, but about how humans have always searched for something deeper." Here's the thing. Think about building with Legos. When you start, there might not be a point to each individual brick, but as you connect them, You might decide to build a castle or a spaceship or just a cool abstract shape. The point of the Legos becomes what you make with them. Your life can be like that. The events and moments are the bricks, and you, through your choices and what you care about, build the meaning. It's okay if you don't have a solid answer today. Most people don't. Not really. Maybe the real point isn't a single destination, but the journey of asking, the act of connecting with others, of learning, and of finding what truly matters to you. It's about how you add your own unique color to the world, and that's a pretty amazing thought, isn't it? What does normal even mean? It sounds like such a simple idea, right? Like something that's just common or expected. But here's the thing. Normal is actually one of those tricky words that keeps changing. It depends entirely on who you ask, or even where in the world you are, or what time period we're talking about. For a long time, people often just thought of normal as whatever the majority did. If most people acted a certain way or believed certain things, then that was considered normal. But smart thinkers throughout history started to really question this idea. They began to realize that what was normal in one community or during one era could be seen as completely strange somewhere else or at a different time. Think about what was normal just 100 or 200 years ago. People dressed very differently, talked in different ways, and lived without so much of the technology we use every day. Their idea of what was normal for daily life was nothing like ours. This shows us that normal isn't a fixed rule or something set in stone. It's more like a shifting shape, a moving target. It gets built by what a group of people generally agree on, or what their culture teaches them to believe and accept. This means society itself shapes what we call normal for a while. So, for example, think about what's normal to eat for breakfast. In some countries, a big plate of eggs and bacon is normal. In others, soup or rice might be the everyday breakfast. Neither is better or worse. They are just what a lot of people in those places have decided is normal. When your brain tries to pin down normal, it's trying to catch something that always keeps shifting, like sand through your fingers. It makes you wonder, if normal is just what we decide on for now, then maybe there's no single true normal that applies to absolutely everyone. Perhaps our brains grapple with the idea that something so basic can be so flexible and ever-changing. And that's perfectly okay. Maybe the real lesson here is to see that our individual differences aren't abnormal at all. Instead, they're simply part of the huge, interesting variety of human experience. It gently reminds us to be curious, to question what we're told, and to understand that what seems normal is often just one perspective among many. Have you ever truly stopped to think about winning or about losing? Most times, the difference seems pretty clear. But what if your main goal was actually to fail, and you totally achieved it? It's a really strange thought, isn't it? If your whole plan was to mess something up, and you messed it up perfectly, did you actually succeed at your plan, or did you still just fail? Here's the thing. This question really twists our usual ideas of success and failure. Normally, success means reaching a good outcome, something positive, and failure means a bad one. But in this weird case, the bad outcome was the exact thing you were aiming for all along. So, achieving any goal, no matter what it was, often feels like a win for your effort. But the result itself is still a failure in the everyday sense. This shows how tricky labels can be. People have thought about these kinds of tricky ideas for thousands of years. Ancient Greek thinkers, like philosophers, explored how our intentions, what we mean to do, and our definitions, how we name things, shape what we see as true. They liked playing with words and concepts to show how confusing life can get. For them, it wasn't just about what happened, but what you aimed for from the start. Think about a baker. Imagine they decide, just for fun, to bake the absolute worst cake possible. They use way too much salt, not enough sugar, and weird spices. They stir it badly, burn the edges on purpose, and make it look truly terrible. When it comes out of the oven, it's exactly as awful as they hoped. No one would want to eat it. Did they fail at baking a good cake? Yes, completely. But did they succeed at baking the worst cake? Absolutely, they hit their unique target. This little puzzle reminds us that success and failure aren't always simple. They often depend entirely on what we set out to do in the first place, and also on how we choose to define what happened once it's all done. It makes us pause and think about our own goals. What are we truly trying to achieve in our own lives? And what does it really mean to win or lose? Maybe it's not just about the final result, but about the aim of the whole game itself. It's about seeing things in a deeper way. Have you ever told a story about something that happened, only for someone else who was there to say, "That's not how it happened at all." It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like your own memory, something you trust completely suddenly feels a bit shaky. Here's the thing. Our brains don't record the past like a perfect video camera. Instead, they're more like busy artists. They take bits and pieces, add in feeling, fill in gaps, and create a picture that feels real to us. For thousands of years, thinkers have wondered about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, for example, questioned if what we see and remember is truly real or just our mind's version. They understood our senses and memories can play tricks. So, our personal history might be more like a story we tell ourselves than a perfect record of facts. We remember things in a way that makes sense to our present selves. Think about an old photo of yourself. You might see a kid with a funny haircut and suddenly remember wearing that outfit to a specific party. But maybe you didn't. That memory might be a blend of the photo, a feeling, and another event. Our brains can trick us. Psychologists have even shown how new memories can be planted in someone's mind just by suggesting something happened. Imagine being told a story about getting lost in a mall as a kid, and suddenly you remember it, even if it never occurred. So, if our past is a story, always being edited by our brain, what does that mean? It doesn't mean your life is a lie. It just means memory is a living thing, not a fixed document. This can help you understand others' memories better and be more curious about your own. It reminds us that our personal history is a deeply personal creation, always changing, always evolving with us. It's a quiet reminder to live fully now because the present is the only moment we truly hold, before it becomes the past, and then, perhaps, a new story. Think about a strong memory you have, maybe from last summer or a big event. If you tell that story today, then tell it again next week, will it be exactly the same? It's a deep question, and the surprising answer is, probably not. Here's the thing about memories. Your brain doesn't store them like perfect video files. Instead, think of a memory as a collection of pieces, feelings, sights, sounds, smells. When you remember something, your brain doesn't just pull up a finished file. It actually reconstructs the memory using those pieces, almost like putting together a puzzle each time. And sometimes, a few puzzle pieces might shift, or new ones might accidentally get added in. For a long time, people thought memories were fixed. Once something happened, it was locked in. But over the last century, especially with new discoveries in psychology and brain science, we've learned that memory is much more flexible. When you call up a memory, your brain makes it active, almost like taking a book off a shelf. While it's off the shelf, it's open to changes. New feelings, new information, or even just the way you describe it to someone else, can subtly reshape it before your brain puts it back. Imagine you went to a concert and it was amazing. You tell your friend about the flashing lights and loud music. A year later, you hear a song from that concert on the radio, and you remember it again. But maybe you've also seen videos of other concerts since then. Without even realizing it, your brain might mix in details from those other experiences. You might remember more lasers than there actually were, or a slightly different sound. It's not that you're trying to make things up, it's just how the brain works. So, if our memories can shift, what does that mean for our past? It means the past isn't a solid block set in stone. It's a living story we carry inside us, always a little bit in motion. And maybe that's okay. It reminds us that our personal history is deeply personal, always growing and changing, just like we are. It makes each memory, even the ones we think we know best, a quiet and private journey of remembering. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, where your thoughts begin? It's a quiet moment, maybe when you're staring out the window and an idea just appears. Is it magic? Or something else entirely? Here's the thing. Thoughts are born in your brain. This amazing squishy organ is like a universe inside your head. Billions of tiny cells called neurons are constantly talking to each other. They send electrical signals, like tiny sparks, and chemical messages. When these sparks connect in certain ways, a thought is formed. It's like a super complex, lightning-fast conversation happening all the time, creating everything from remembering your friend's name to figuring out a math problem. For thousands of years, people have pondered this very question.
Ancient Greek thinkers, for instance, wondered if the mind was separate from the body. Was it a spirit, or was it tied to the physical world? They didn't have microscopes or brain scans, so they just observed and asked deep questions, much like we do today. They sensed there was something more to thinking than just a beat of the heart. Think about this. When you're trying to pick out what to wear in the morning, your brain is firing. You remember what's clean, what feels comfortable, what matches. You might even picture yourself wearing different outfits. That whole process, from the memory to the imagination to the decision, is your neurons working together. It's not just a feeling, it's a physical event inside your head. So, while thoughts live in our brains, the mystery of how they become conscious ideas, feelings, or choices is still a deep one. It's not just science, it's about the very core of who we are. Every thought, big or small, is a tiny miracle happening inside you. It makes you, well, you. It's a quiet question, one that makes you pause and really wonder. When your dog seems to know you're sad, or a crow figures out how to open a complex bird feeder, are they truly thinking in the way we do? Do they make conscious choices? Are they planning for the future, solving problems in new ways? Or feeling deep emotions like joy or sorrow, much like we experience them? For a very long time, many humans believed we were completely unique. Some famous thinkers from centuries ago, like René Descartes, even thought animals were just like very complex machines. They reacted to things based on instinct, but didn't truly feel pain or have real thoughts. Their actions were just programmed responses, like a clock working. But here's the thing. Our understanding has changed a lot. We've watched animals do amazing stuff that makes us rethink everything. Take crows, for example. Scientists have seen them do things that look a lot like planning. They'll pick up hard nuts, then drop them onto busy roads so cars can crack them open. And then, the crows will wait for the traffic light to change, making it safe to fly down and get their food. That's not just a simple, unthinking reaction. That shows a clear plan, a way of thinking ahead, and even using tools, the cars and the road, to solve a hunger problem. It's similar to you figuring out how to use a new app or a specific tool to solve a tricky homework question. You're adapting, inventing a solution. This kind of observation makes you wonder deeply. It makes you ask if the line between human thought and animal thought is much blurrier than we ever imagined. What if animals experience their world with a richness and understanding we're only just beginning to see? It hints that there's a huge, quiet intelligence all around us, not just in humans. And that thought can make you feel more connected to the forest, the ocean, or even just the pet sleeping at your feet. It's a reminder that we share this earth with other beings capable of surprising and complex inner lives. And that, in itself, is a truly profound and beautiful idea. Have you ever stopped to think about how truly vast our universe is? All the stars, all the galaxies, everything we can see. It feels endless, right? But here's a question that stretches our minds. What if our entire universe, as huge as it is just a tiny speck in something much, much bigger? This idea suggests our universe isn't the only one. Instead, it might be one bubble in a cosmic ocean of many universes. Perhaps like a single room in an unimaginable house. Scientists call some versions of this the multiverse. It's a concept where countless other universes could exist, each with its own rules, its own stars, even its own versions of us. People have wondered about this for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, long before telescopes, looked up and asked if there was more than their world. They imagined other realms. Today, some advanced scientific theories point to this possibility. It's almost as if the math itself hints we aren't alone in the grand scheme of things. Think about it like this. Imagine you're a tiny water flea, living your whole life in one single drop of water. That drop is your entire world. You know every molecule. You might think that drop is all there is. But what if that drop is just one tiny part of a gigantic swimming pool? Or even an entire ocean? Your drop is everything to you. But it's a speck in a much larger, watery reality. And that's kind of how we might be.
Our universe, vast and magnificent, could be just one drop in an infinite cosmic ocean. It doesn't make our universe less special, but it certainly makes us wonder about the incredible scale of what's out there. It reminds us that there's always so much more to simply be in awe of. It's a thought that can make you feel small, but also wonderfully connected to something far beyond what we can fully grasp. Have you ever wondered why we spend a third of our lives unconscious? It feels strange, going dark every night. But here's the thing. Sleep isn't just about resting our bodies. It's a deep, silent journey for our brains. Think of your brain like a bustling city. All day, it's busy with traffic, thoughts, feelings, things you learn. When you sleep, that city doesn't shut down. Instead, it gets to work cleaning up. During deep sleep, your brain washes away waste products that build up during the day. It's also busy filing away memories, deciding what's important to keep and what to let go of. This helps you remember math formulas or that new friend's name. For a long time, people saw sleep differently. Ancient cultures often thought dreams were messages from gods or glimpses into the future. Philosophers would ponder if dreams were just random noise or something more meaningful. We still don't have all the answers, but we know dreams are a big part of this brain activity. When you dream, it's like your brain is running a simulation. It's playing back events from your day, sorting through emotions, and even practicing skills. Maybe you have a dream where you're flying, or you're back in a classroom you haven't seen in years. These dreams aren't always logical, but they help your mind process. It's like when you organize your backpack after a busy school week. You take everything out, decide what to keep, what to throw away, and put things back neatly. Dreams do something similar for your mental space. So, sleep is this powerful reset button, and dreams, they are the brain's way of quietly working things out, making sense of the world, and preparing you for tomorrow. It's a reminder that even when we're still, our inner world is always busy, always growing. It's a gentle, necessary mystery. Have you ever looked at a super smart computer program, one that seems to understand everything you say, and wondered if it could actually feel? This is one of the deepest questions we can ask. What does it even mean to be conscious? For us, it's about having an inner life, a private world of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. It's knowing who you are, what you're experiencing, and that you exist. It's the feeling of being awake, of having thoughts and emotions that are truly yours. It's what makes you, a unique individual with your own awareness. For centuries, thinkers have pondered what gives us this inner spark. They called it the soul or the mind, and for a long time it seemed obvious that only living things could have it. But now, with machines that can write stories, create art, or even hold conversations that sound remarkably human, the question gets much harder. Could wires and code ever truly experience something in the way a person does? Could a machine truly feel joy or sorrow, or simply be processing data very quickly? Think about a powerful computer that plays chess. It can beat almost any human player. It can predict moves, plan strategies, and learn from its mistakes. It might even seem like it's thinking deeply, making choices. But here's the thing. Does it know it's playing chess? Does it feel the pressure of a tough game, or get excited when it wins? Most scientists and philosophers would say no. It's just following incredibly complex instructions, processing information at lightning speed to achieve a goal. It doesn't have an inner sense of self or a subjective experience of its actions. This brings us to a deep, unsolved mystery. Is consciousness something more than just processing information, no matter how complex that processing becomes? Is it something that needs a biological brain, a living body to exist? Or is it possible that one day a machine could truly wake up and have its own unique inner world, just like us? We don't have all the answers, and maybe we never will, but asking these kinds of questions helps us understand more about our own minds and what it truly means to be aware. It's a quiet wonder, thinking about the subtle yet profound line between what is alive and what simply acts alive. Bimo, condo content, and do not need from the other news. Have you thought about questions without easy answers? Like, what does one hand clapping sound like? At first, it seems like a trick. You need two hands to clap, right? But this isn't about a literal sound. This is an old question, a famous one from Zen Buddhism. They call these koans. Koans are like mind puzzles. They push your usual way of thinking. They want you to look past what's obvious. Imagine your brain as a computer good at following rules. If you ask it to add 2 plus 2, it says 4. Easy. But if you ask for the sound of one hand clapping, it just pauses. There's no simple rule. This forces your brain to step outside its normal programs. It's like trying to remember something you know, but you can't quite grab it. It makes your mind feel stuck, but in a way that helps you grow. Think about it like this. Sometimes, when you're solving a math problem, you try the same steps again and again, and it doesn't work. Then maybe a friend shows you a totally different way to see the numbers, and suddenly it clicks. The koan is like that friend. It pushes you to find a new path for your thoughts. It makes you see that sometimes the answer isn't something you hear or see. It's something you understand deeply. It's about letting go of what you expect, about opening up to what else could be. It reminds us that some answers aren't words or sounds. They are insights that come when your mind is truly quiet. This question isn't looking for a right answer. It's asking you to experience the question itself. It wants you to feel where your logical mind stops. And then, maybe, just maybe, go beyond that. It's about finding quiet in your thoughts, a space where answers don't need to be loud. Have you ever really stopped to think about that question? Not just living a very long life, like 100 years, but truly, forever. Imagine never getting old, never getting sick, always just being. It sounds amazing at first, right? No more worries about time running out. All the books you could read, all the places you could visit, all the skills you could master. But then, your brain bumps into something. People have wondered about this for ages. Ancient stories talk about gods gaining endless life. They saw it as a gift. But often, it was also a heavy burden. What if everyone you knew passed away, and you were left alone, watching centuries pass? Think about it like this. If your favorite song played on a loop every minute of every day for an entire year, would it still be your favorite? Or would you wish for silence? Wish for something new? Here's the thing. Our brains are wired for change, for learning, for new experiences. We grow, we adapt, we mark time with beginnings and endings. A school year starts, then it ends. A game begins, and then someone wins. These cycles give things meaning. If there were no endings, would there be true beginnings? Would anything feel special if you could do it again, forever? It's a deep thought because our brains struggle with truly endless time. It's hard to imagine how that would feel for us as humans who live in moments. So, maybe the real question isn't just about living forever. Maybe it's about how we value the time we have right now, knowing it's precious. It makes us think about what truly matters in the journey, not just the destination. Have you ever really thought about laughter? It's a strange thing, isn't it? This sudden burst of sound, sometimes even tears. One moment you're serious, the next, you're laughing out loud. Why does our body do that? Here's the thing. A lot of why we laugh comes from surprise. It happens when your brain expects one thing, and then something completely different happens, but in a harmless way. It's like a little mental shock, followed by a release. Thinkers long ago tried to figure this out. Some thought we laughed when we felt a bit superior, like watching someone slip on a banana peel, but not get hurt. But many ideas today point to incongruity, often what makes us laugh. For example, imagine your dog chasing its tail so fast it spins around and falls over. You expect it to be a perfect circle, but it wobbles and tumbles. That sudden, harmless mismatch makes you smile then chuckle. Our brain loves to find patterns. When something breaks that pattern in a safe, surprising way, it's like solving a tiny puzzle or letting go of tension. So laughter isn't just a noise. It's our mind's way of handling the unexpected, finding the sense in things that don't quite fit. It's a natural, shared moment, reminding us that sometimes the best response to life's strange and surprising twists is a simple, honest laugh. Think about it. Can your brain really do two hard things at once, with full attention on both? Like writing a perfect essay while holding a deep conversation? Here's the thing. Our brains usually can't. What we call multitasking is often just fast task switching. Your brain zips between tasks, back and forth very quickly. It feels like you're doing both, but you're not giving each task your full, deep focus. This idea isn't new. For centuries, people who studied the mind, like ancient philosophers, talked about the power of focus. They believed true understanding came from giving something your whole mind. They knew dividing attention meant mastering nothing. They valued deep thought, not scattered effort. Think about trying to do your math homework while also watching a YouTube video. You might think you're doing both, but you're pulling your attention from numbers to screen, then back. Each switch carries a mental cost. You lose time and focus. It's like trying to juggle two balls, but always dropping one before catching the other. You use more energy and make more mistakes than if you just focused on one. So if true multitasking is rare, what does that tell us about how we spend our precious attention? It suggests giving one thing our whole, calm focus is more powerful than doing everything at once. It means our amazing minds work best when not pulled in too many directions. What if deep learning and clear thoughts come from slowing down and focusing on just one thing? It's a quiet challenge to our busy world. What makes something beautiful, really? Is it just what we see with our eyes, or is there more to it? We often think of beauty as something on the outside, like a pretty face, a cool painting, or a fancy car. But here's the thing. Beauty is much deeper than just looks. It's not always about what is perfect in a picture. It's about how something makes us feel. It's a quiet feeling that can make us stop for a moment, wonder, or feel a sense of peace inside. For thousands of years, people all over the world have tried to figure this out. Ancient thinkers in different cultures argued about whether beauty was a perfect shape, like a specific curve or line, or if it was just a feeling inside each person. Some believed beauty was a universal rule, like a math problem that everyone could see and agree on. Others felt it was totally up to each person, like preferring one color over another. And that's why it matters. Both ideas actually have a point. Think about a really calm lake at sunset. The colors across the sky and water are amazing, sure. But the real beauty isn't just those colors, it's the stillness. It's the way the light reflects, making you feel quiet and peaceful inside. Or think about the simple, perfect shape of a snowflake when you see it up close. It's incredibly complex, but also perfectly balanced and unique. There's a beauty in its tiny, frozen design, a kind of natural geometry that makes you wonder how nature does it. That beauty isn't just what you see, it's the wonder you feel about its natural order. So, maybe beauty isn't just a thing out there. Maybe it's a connection. It's the way something in the world, big or small, connects with something deep inside us and creates a special feeling. It's personal, yes, but it's also something we can often share. It reminds us to slow down, to notice the details, and to feel a sense of wonder. And maybe, in its deepest sense, beauty is simply about really seeing and feeling the world around us, and letting that feeling settle in your mind. Title: Have you ever stopped to wonder if something can be true for one person, but not quite true for another? The idea that everything is relative sounds simple. It means how we see things, how we understand the world, often depends on our viewpoint or what we compare it to. Things aren't always fixed, they shift. But here's the tricky part, the puzzle. If everything is relative, then the statement, everything is relative, must also be relative. If it's relative, then it's not an absolute truth, is it? It might only be true from one angle. This creates a loop. Thinkers have explored this for thousands of years. In ancient Greece, Protagoras said, "Man is the measure of all things." He suggested there isn't one single truth, but many, each tied to the person experiencing it. This idea still makes us think. Think about something simple like how hot or cold something feels. Put one hand in ice water and the other in warm water. Then put both hands into plain tap water. How does the tap water feel? To the hand from ice, it feels warm. To the hand from warm water, it feels cool. Is the tap water warm or cold? It's both, depending on what your hand just felt. Your feeling is relative to your recent experience. This idea doesn't mean no truth exists or that anything goes. Instead, it invites us to pause and consider different angles. It makes us more open to other people's experiences and perspectives. It reminds us that our own way of seeing the world, no matter how real it feels, is just one possible.
You ever stop to think about who you are? Not your name or your body, but that feeling of being you inside your own head? It's a pretty deep question, and it's one of the biggest mysteries your brain tries to figure out every single day. Here's the thing. Your brain doesn't have a little mini you sitting inside it pulling levers. Instead, your sense of self is like a story your brain is always writing. It gathers up all your memories, from what you had for breakfast to how you felt when you scored a goal. It mixes in your thoughts, your habits, your dreams, and even the way your body feels. All these pieces come together to create that unique feeling of being you. Thinkers have wondered about this for thousands of years. Ancient philosophers asked if there was a soul or just a mind. Much later, a famous thinker named René Descartes once said, "I think, therefore I am." What he meant was, the very act of thinking, of wondering, proves that there's a you doing the thinking. It's like your thoughts are the evidence of your own existence. Imagine your brain is like a giant super-fast editor, working on a movie about your life. It takes all the raw footage, every sight, sound, smell, feeling, and stitches it together. It highlights what's important, learns from the mistakes, and remembers the good parts. That movie, playing constantly in your head, is your self. It's always being updated, always adding new scenes and characters. So, this you isn't a solid thing that just popped into existence. It's more like a flowing river, always moving, always changing. Your brain works tirelessly to keep that story going, making sense of who you've been, who you are right now, and who you might become. It's a quiet, amazing process, happening inside you all the time. Have you ever stopped to wonder why we feel fear at all? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Your heart pounds, your breath catches. A shiver runs down your spine. But here's the thing, fear is not a mistake. It's actually one of the oldest, most important parts of what makes us human. Think about our ancient ancestors, living thousands of years ago. They faced real dangers every single day, hungry animals, bad weather, or unknown territories. For them, fear was like a built-in alarm system. It quickly told them to run, to hide, or to stand and fight. This quick reaction helped them stay alive, and it helped our species survive long enough to be here today. So, in a way, we owe our existence to fear. Philosophers have long considered fear a natural part of life, something we should understand rather than just avoid. Let's say you're walking home after school and suddenly hear a loud, unexpected bang right behind you. For a split second, your whole body tenses up. Your brain isn't asking, "What was that?" It's already decided you might be in danger. This automatic response comes from a tiny part of your brain called the amygdala, faster than conscious thought, getting your body ready to react, to move, to be safe. It's like a super-fast bodyguard, always on duty. So, fear, even though it feels uncomfortable, is actually a gift. It tells us when to be careful. It pushes us to learn about dangers and to find solutions. It reminds us that life is precious and sometimes fragile. Feeling fear means you're connected to a deep, ancient part of yourself, a part that has always looked out for you. It's a quiet whisper from the past, reminding you to be present, to be aware, and sometimes
to be incredibly brave. Have you ever tried, really tried, to just make your mind completely blank? To push away every single thought? It sounds simple, right? Just stop thinking. But here's the thing. Our brains are always on, like a busy city that never truly sleeps. Even when you're resting, even when you're trying not to think, your brain is humming. It's generating ideas, remembering things, planning. It's a constant flow, and you can't just flip a switch to turn it off. For thousands of years, people have tried to quiet this inner chatter. Ancient philosophers and spiritual teachers, like those who practice meditation, learned that stopping thoughts completely might be impossible. They found it's more about noticing the thoughts without getting caught up in them. They realized your brain isn't a simple machine you can just power down. It's a complex network that is designed to process and connect. Think about it like this. If I tell you, don't think about a bright pink elephant, what instantly pops into your head? Probably a pink elephant, right? The very act of trying not to think about something often makes you think about it even more. Or imagine you're trying to fall asleep. You tell yourself, don't worry about tomorrow's big presentation. And what happens? Your mind starts rehearsing every single slide. Our brain's natural state is to be active, to explore, to create. It's not something we can easily control with a simple command. This constant activity, this endless stream of thoughts, is a core part of being human. It's how we learn, how we grow, and how we understand the world around us. So, maybe the goal isn't to stop thinking, but to understand the incredible, tireless mind we each carry. This is one of those big questions, isn't it? The kind that quietly settles in your mind, perhaps late at night, making you wonder what truly happens when our bodies eventually stop, when our minds go quiet. For thousands of years, people across the earth have grappled with this profound mystery. Every culture, every religion, and every group of thinkers has tried to make sense of what comes next. Offers a different view, explaining how the body simply ceases to function, cells break down, brain activity ends, and physical life as we know it concludes. Both ideas exist, side by side, leaving us to wonder. So how can we even begin to think about such a huge unknown? Consider it like a favorite story you've just finished reading. The book is closed, and the characters don't physically exist on those pages anymore. But the feelings that story stirred in you, the lessons it taught, the way it made you see the world differently, those things stay with you. They live on in your memory, shaping who you are. Our lives are a bit like that story. When we are gone, the physical book closes, but the impact we had, the kindness we shared, the ideas we expressed, the love we gave, those things don't vanish. They ripple out into the world, touching others, becoming part of the ongoing human story, much like an echo that never truly fades. Maybe the real question isn't where we go, but what we leave behind. It's a mystery that remains unsolved, and that's perfectly okay. No one on earth truly holds the answer, but allowing this question to sit with you can sometimes change how you see life itself. It makes us consider how precious each moment is, and how we choose to spend the time we have. It pulls us into the present, reminding us to be fully here, now. And that's why this question matters so deeply. Contemplating the great unknown can help us appreciate the incredible journey of being alive. Have you ever stared up at the endless night sky and felt really small? And maybe, just maybe, wondered if all of that, all of space, just stopped somewhere? It's a question people have asked for thousands of years, long before telescopes, even before we knew Earth was round. They looked up and saw infinity. But here's the thing. Our modern understanding of space is even wilder than just endless. Scientists today often talk about the universe expanding. Think of it like this. Imagine you're a tiny ant living on the surface of a balloon. As the balloon gets inflated, the surface stretches. You can walk forever on that surface, and you'd never hit an edge. There's no end to the surface, but it's not infinite in the way a flat, endless sheet of paper would be. It's finite, but it doesn't have a boundary. Our universe might be like that. It's growing, but there's no wall. No exit sign to space. This idea can be really mind-bending. Your brain wants to picture a wall, a barrier, something beyond which space just isn't. But what if there's nothing beyond? What if space is everything, and it's just getting bigger? It's a bit like asking what's north of the North Pole. There isn't a north beyond it, because the North Pole is where all directions start pointing south. Similarly, space might not have an outside or an end. So, when we ask if space ends, maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe space isn't something that can just end in the way a road ends. It just is. It's a vast, ever-stretching canvas, and our minds are still trying to paint its edges, even though there might not be any. It reminds us that some of the deepest questions aren't about finding a simple yes or no answer. They're about opening our minds to possibilities we can barely imagine. And that's why it matters. Thinking about these things helps us see how much more there is to learn, how much more there is to wonder about. It shows us the amazing mysteries hidden just beyond our understanding, always inviting us to look a little closer. For you, when you look at a people in tiller, but safe, when you given them decide them, that's all inexplorative to the lest. But safe, when you given them decide them, that's all inexplorative to the lest. Have you ever felt that strange little jolt when something really unlikely occurs? Like you're thinking about a specific friend, and just moments later your phone buzzes, and it's them calling. Or you hear a super unusual word, and then oddly, it pops up again later that same day. These moments can feel a bit magical, right? As if the universe is sending you a sign or playing a trick. But what if these surprising overlaps aren't about magic at all? What if they're mostly about how our amazing brains work and the endless possibilities in our vast world? For a long time, people saw these perfectly timed events as signs from fate or messages from a higher power. It felt like everything was meant to be. But here's the truth. Our world is incredibly busy. Billions of people, countless events, all happening at once. With so much going on, it's actually quite likely that some things will line up in unexpected ways. Our brains are natural pattern spotters. It's how we learn and understand. But sometimes, this amazing skill makes us see a grand design where there's just chance. Let's take an example. Imagine you just learned about a rare type of bird, like a quetzal. You might never have heard of it before. But then, later that week, you see a picture of a quetzal in a magazine, and then someone on TV mentions it. It feels like quetzals are suddenly everywhere. The bird wasn't appearing more often. Your brain simply learned a new thing and became super alert to it. It's not that the universe suddenly filled with quetzals. It's that your attention changed, making you notice what was already quietly there. So when coincidences surprise us, they usually aren't hidden cosmic messages. Instead, they're a gentle reminder of the simple math of a busy world, combined with how our minds pay attention. We remember the unusual connections because they grab us. We quickly forget the countless times things didn't line up. It shows us our brains are always working to make sense of everything, even when there isn't a secret purpose behind every surprising little flicker. It's set up a problem to do it. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, who you are? Beyond your name, your family, or the things you like? What is that core you that experiences everything? Here's the thing. It's not as simple as pointing to your hand or your brain. Yourself is a much deeper mystery. It's the feeling of being you, the part that watches your thoughts, feels your feelings, and remembers your past. This idea of a self isn't something new. People have been asking about it for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers pondered if it was a soul, a spirit, or just the way your mind works. It's not something you can touch or measure with a ruler. It's more like a unique pattern, an invisible thread connecting all your experiences, memories, and dreams. It's what makes you distinct from everyone else, even your identical twin. Think about a river. A river is always flowing, always changing. The water molecules that are there one minute are gone the next, replaced by new ones. But it's still the same river, right? You still call it by the same name. Yourself is kind of like that river. Your body's cells are always being replaced. Your memories change. Your opinions shift as you grow and learn new things. But through all that change, you still feel like you. You recognize your own face in the mirror and know that person is you, even though you're different from who you were last year or last week. So maybe the self isn't a fixed thing like a stone. Maybe it's more like a story you are always writing, always unfolding. It's not a question with one simple answer you can look up. Instead, it's a quiet wonder, a deep feeling of existence that's always with you, and that's why it matters. Exploring this question helps you understand not just yourself, but everyone around you too. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head? Not just for an hour, but for days. That melody, playing over and over like a tiny record player inside your mind, it feels like a loop, doesn't it? A pattern that just keeps repeating with no real end in sight. But can it truly go on forever? Here's the thing about loops. They are cycles, events that happen again and again. Think about the seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter, then back to spring. Or the way a clock's hands spin, marking the hours and minutes, round and round. For a long time, people have wondered if everything in the universe is just part of one giant, never-ending loop. Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, talked a lot about things repeating. They saw cycles everywhere, in the stars, in nature, even in human history. They asked if time itself might be a loop, always coming back to where it started. It's a pretty deep idea, right? But what about those loops that feel personal, like that song in your head? You might try to break it by listening to something else or talking to a friend, and eventually it fades, it stops. The loop finds an end. This shows us something important. Even cycles that seem endless can be broken, or they simply finish when their purpose is done. Consider the water cycle. Rain falls, water flows to rivers and oceans, then evaporates into the sky, forming clouds that release more rain. It's a continuous journey. But a single drop of water, once it joins the ocean, might not come back as rain for a very long time, or ever in the same form. So for that one drop, its journey through the loop changes. Maybe an end isn't always a hard stop, but more like a quiet transformation. A loop might indeed finish its current pattern, only to then begin a brand new one, different but still connected. This idea makes you really wonder about the bigger picture of everything. Do our own lives, our thoughts, our daily routines also follow a kind of loop? And what does it mean for us when one of those loops changes, or when it finally finds its quiet end? It's not necessarily about things just stopping completely. Instead, it's about how patterns shift and gracefully evolve. And sometimes, knowing that a loop can truly end gives us a quiet sense of possibility, a new kind of freedom. Doing. Have you ever really stopped to think about how you know something is true? Like truly, deeply know it, not just because someone told you or because it feels right, but how do you know, for sure? This is one of the oldest and biggest questions humans have ever asked. For thousands of years, thinkers wondered about this. Way back in ancient Greece, people like Plato tried to figure out what truth even was. They looked beyond just what we see and feel. They understood that our senses can sometimes trick us. What looks real might just be an idea, or even a shadow of something real. They argued that true knowledge often comes from thinking deeply, from using logic, rather than just trusting our eyes or ears. Here's the thing. Knowing something is true usually means you have good reasons for believing it. It means there's solid evidence, proof you can check. Think about how we know that brushing your teeth helps prevent cavities. It's not just an opinion. Dentists and scientists have studied it for years. They've looked at people who brush and those who don't, studied the bacteria in mouths, and seen the results. The evidence points to brushing being true for good oral health. Our brains are always working to build a picture of the world. They gather information, connect ideas, and try to make sense of everything. But this picture is always being updated. Sometimes, what we thought was true turns out to be incomplete or even wrong when new facts come to light. The journey of finding truth isn't about finding one perfect answer and stopping. It's about a continuous search, a quiet kind of wonder, always open to new understanding. It's about being brave enough to question what we think we know and gentle enough to allow our understanding to grow. Doing. Have you ever noticed how the years seem to just fly by faster and faster? When you were little, summer vacation felt like an endless stretch. Now, a whole year can feel like just a few months. That time itself speeds up. It's about how your brain experiences it. One big reason is how a year feels compared to your whole life. Think about it. When you're 8 years old, 1 year is a huge chunk, 1/8 of your entire life. That's a massive part of all the moments you've ever known. But when you're 50, 1 year is only 1/50th of your life. It's a much smaller slice of the pie. So it naturally feels shorter, less significant. Another part is how many new things you experience. When you're young, almost everything is new. Every day brings a fresh discovery, a different lesson, a new friend. Your brain makes lots of new memories. These unique moments create a rich picture of time. But as you get older, life often settles into routines. School, homework, chores, they become familiar. Fewer truly new things happen every day. This makes time seem to blend together like a blur, because there are fewer new memories for your brain to hold as unique events. Some old philosophers thought our minds shaped reality. They knew time wasn't just numbers on a clock. It's also a feeling. So it's not the clock's fault time rushes. It's about how our brains process all the information we gather. The more we experience, the more our brains process, making time feel more full, and thus, longer. Think about a long car ride. If you're seeing new sights, time might feel longer. But if you're staring, bored, time might speed up because nothing new is happening. It's similar with our lives. So maybe we can't slow time down, but appreciating each moment fully can help. It reminds us that every second, every new experience holds unique value. That's why it matters to keep learning, keep trying new things, and stay curious. Because even if the calendar pages flip fast, our minds can still make each moment feel rich and truly lived. Template. Imagine for a moment trying to tell someone what a fresh lemon tastes like if they had never ever eaten one. You could say it's sour or sharp, or even tell them about its bright yellow color. But would they truly know the unique puckering sensation? This is where our brains bump into a real puzzle. Taste isn't just a fact you can look up. It's a deeply personal experience, a sensation that happens inside you when certain chemicals touch your tongue and your brain makes sense of them. Here's the thing. We can describe the color of a car to someone, or explain how an engine works. These are things outside us that we can all agree on. But taste is different. For centuries, thinkers have wondered about these kinds of experiences. How do you share something that only you feel? A long time ago, a philosopher named John Locke thought about this. He realized some qualities of things, like their size or shape, are real no matter what. But other qualities, like taste or color, are things our minds create in response to the world. They're more about our experience than the thing itself. So how? Can you describe the taste of a lemon to someone without them ever tasting it? You can't truly, completely transfer that feeling. Think about trying to describe the color blue to someone who has been completely blind since birth. You can tell them the sky is blue, or the ocean. You can talk about it being a calm color, but those words don't make them see blue, do they? They can understand the concept of blue, maybe even its scientific explanation, but the actual lived experience of seeing blue remains out of reach. And that's why taste is similar. We can talk about sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami. We can break down the science of taste buds, but the actual feeling of a juicy orange or a crispy potato chip is something that must be experienced to be known. It reminds us that some of life's deepest truths, the most vivid parts of being alive, are found not in words or facts, but in the quiet, unexplainable world of our own senses. They are private wonders, unique to each of us. Have you ever looked at the vastness of the night sky, or felt the wind on your face and just wondered if there's more to it than meets the eye? Here's a deep thought. What if everything we experience, every sight, sound, and feeling, isn't truly real in the way we think? What if our entire world, our universe even, is actually a super advanced computer program, a giant simulation? This idea might sound like something out of a science fiction movie, but people have pondered it for thousands of years. Ancient Greek thinkers, like Plato, wondered if what we saw was just a shadow of a truer reality. Later, philosophers questioned how we know we aren't just dreaming right now, or if a powerful being is tricking our senses. The core idea is simple. Perhaps our reality is like a highly detailed, incredibly complex video game, but we are the characters inside it, completely unaware. Think about playing a virtual reality game. When you put on the headset, the world around you vanishes. You step into a new place, filled with characters, challenges, and amazing visuals. You can walk around, pick things up, talk to others in that digital world. Inside that game, it feels real. Your heart might race, you might laugh, you might feel a sense of accomplishment, but we know it's just data, pixels, and code. So, what if our everyday life, the school, your friends, the trees outside, what if it's all just part of an even grander, more believable program? It's a thought that can make your mind stretch. If our reality is a simulation, does it make our lives less meaningful? Not really. Our feelings are still real to us. Our connections, our choices, our moments of joy or sadness, they exist within the experience we are having. Maybe knowing this would just open our minds to an even bigger mystery, a deeper layer to existence. It reminds us that there's always more to question. And
Barry 7. Studio. It's a truly deep question, isn't it? We often imagine dreams as vivid pictures, like a movie playing in our heads. But what happens if someone has never seen the world with their eyes? Do their dreams still show them colors and shapes? Here's the thing. It depends on when a person became blind. If someone was born blind, their brain has never received visual information, so they don't see images in their dreams in the way sighted people do. Their dreams are still rich and full, but they are built from the senses they do use every day. They might dream of sounds, a favorite song, a friend's voice, the rain falling. They could experience touch, the feel of a warm blanket, a cool breeze, the texture of a pet's fur. Smells and tastes can also play a big part. Their dreams are a full sensory experience, just without the pictures. Think about how ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosopher Aristotle, wondered about dreams. They believed dreams were our brains sorting through and processing everything we experienced while awake. Later, as science grew, we began to understand that our brains build our reality from all the different inputs we get. A person born blind gets no visual input, so their brain creates a dream world based on the information it does have. It's a bit like a musician. A musician experiences the world through sound, rhythm, and feeling. When they dream of music, they aren't seeing it. They are hearing it, feeling its vibration, perhaps even feeling the movements of playing an instrument. Their dream is a symphony of sound and feeling, just as real and complex as a visual dream is for someone who can see. So dreams aren't just about what our eyes show us. They are about how our amazing brains make sense of the world, how they process our memories, our feelings, and our experiences. For a blind person, dreams are a profound journey through sounds, touches, smells, and emotions, showing us that true understanding goes far beyond what we simply see. Number 10. Where do truly new ideas come from? Is it like a spark from the sky, or something deep inside our minds? This is a question people have thought about for thousands of years. For a very long time, many believed creativity wasn't even ours. The ancient Greeks, for example, talked about muses, goddesses who would whisper ideas into the minds of artists, poets, and thinkers. It was like genius was a gift given from the outside, not something you worked at or built yourself. But here's the thing. Today, we mostly understand creativity as something different. It's not magic, and it doesn't come from a faraway place. It's how our brain connects things that weren't connected before. Imagine your brain is like a giant attic filled with all sorts of things you've seen, heard, felt, and learned. Most of the time, these things just sit there in their own boxes. But a creative moment is when your brain suddenly pulls out two totally different items, say an old bicycle wheel and a coffee cup, and sees how they could be put together to make something new, like a unique sculpture or a strange kind of planter. This isn't just about art, though. Think about a time you solved a problem at school in a way no one else had thought of. Or maybe you figured out how to make a simple meal from whatever was left in the fridge. That's creativity at work. Your brain took different bits of information and linked them in a fresh way.
It happens when you let your thoughts wander, when you're curious, and when you're open to seeing the world a little differently. It's that quiet, amazing moment when familiar pieces suddenly form a brand new picture in your mind. And that's a power we all carry, waiting to be explored. Have you ever walked into a new place or heard a conversation for the first time and instantly felt like you'd lived that exact moment before? This strange, sudden feeling, like a quick skip in time, is what we call déjà vu. It's a French phrase that simply means already seen. It's when your brain tells you, I've been here, done this, even though deep down you know it's completely new. Here's the thing. Your brain is always taking in a huge amount of information. Every sight, every sound, every smell. Sometimes for just a tiny fraction of a second, your brain might process a new experience in a slightly jumbled way. Think of it like this. Your senses send signals to different parts of your brain to be understood. It's possible that one part of your brain registers the information, say, what you're seeing, just a split second before another part of your brain fully creates the memory of it. So, when the second part catches up, it feels like it's re-experiencing something that just happened, even though it's all brand new. For hundreds of years, people have wondered about déjà vu. Some ancient thinkers thought it might be a forgotten memory from a dream, or even a glimpse of a past life. Others saw it as a spiritual moment. Today, most scientists think of it as a small trick of the mind, a minor hiccup in how our memories and perceptions work. It's like when you're scrolling quickly through pictures on your phone. You might briefly see an image, then scroll past it, and when you scroll back, for a split second, it feels intensely familiar, even though you just saw it a moment ago, not hours or days ago. This feeling of déjà vu, this brief overlap of newness and familiarity, is a quiet reminder of how wonderfully complex our brains are. It shows us that our perception of time and memory isn't always a perfect, smooth line. It's a gentle whisper that even the most ordinary moments can hold a tiny, fascinating mystery about how we experience the world and how our own minds work. It's a moment to pause and wonder at the intricate design within us. Have you ever told a story from your past, and then a friend or family meet at the past member remembered it totally differently? It's a strange feeling, right? Like, who's actually right? Here's the thing. Our memories aren't like perfect video recordings. Your brain doesn't just store an event exactly as it happened, like saving a file on a computer. Instead, your brain rebuilds memories each time you think about them. It might quietly add new details, change small parts, or even leave things out. And this happens without you even realizing it. Long ago, thinkers and philosophers wondered deeply about this. They asked if the past is a fixed thing, or if it shifts and changes like sand in the wind, especially in our minds. They knew our personal history was never truly set in stone. Think about a time you tried to describe what someone wore yesterday. You might clearly remember a blue shirt, but then they say, no, it was definitely green. Or maybe you're sure someone said one exact thing, but they insist their words were different. This isn't usually because someone is trying to lie, it's just how our memory works. Police officers know this well. Eyewitnesses to a crime can honestly remember very different details, even when trying their hardest. Our feelings, new information we learn later, even what others tell us, can quietly change what we remember seeing or hearing. So, what does this mean for us? It doesn't mean your memories are useless or that you can't trust anything you recall. It simply means they are living things, always being shaped and reshaped. Each memory is like your own personal painting, touched up a little every time you look at it, not a perfect photograph. It helps us understand that our own reality, our own past, is beautifully, wonderfully, a little bit fluid. It reminds us to be curious about how our minds work and how we build our own story. So the selection of questions you want to pass to holodelve. Have you ever wondered if there are questions that logic itself can't answer? We rely on reason to figure things out, to build arguments and to understand the world. But what if our amazing logical minds hit a wall, a place where pure reason just doesn't apply? Here's the thing, some thinkers believe logic, as powerful as it is, has boundaries. It might not be able to solve every mystery or understand every truth. Think about math, which seems like the most logical thing ever. Hundreds of years ago, a brilliant thinker named Kurt Gödel showed something surprising. He found that in any complex system of math, there will always be statements that are true, but you can't prove them within that system. And you can't disprove them either. They just exist beyond the reach of the rules you've set up. It's a bit like having a map. The map is great for showing you how to get from point A to point B within a city.
But the map can't tell you if you'll enjoy the walk or if the city itself is a good place to live. Those questions are outside what the map is designed to do. They need something more than just lines and socks.
Symbols. So when we ask deep questions, like what is true love, or what is beautiful, or what is the meaning of life, logic can help us explore parts of them. But our feelings, our gut instincts, or even just our sense of wonder often play a bigger role. Some things can't be broken down into steps, cause and effect. They just are. It shows us that there's more to understanding than just thinking. It makes the world a bit more mysterious and beautiful, reminding us there's always something beyond what we can fully grasp. Have you ever stopped to think about where numbers and shapes come from? It's a really deep question, and it makes your brain buzz a little. Is math something we find, like exploring a new island, or is it something we build, like inventing a new game? Some people believe math is like a hidden code of the universe, waiting for us to uncover it. They think that before any human existed, the laws of numbers and geometry were already out there, perfect and true. Think about the way a spiral appears in a seashell, or how planets orbit the sun in precise ways. These patterns seem to exist independently of us. So, for many thinkers, especially ancient philosophers, math was a discovery. We just had to look closely enough to see its eternal rules. But then, another idea suggests math is more like a language we created. We invented symbols, rules, and ways to count, measure, and understand the world. We made up terms like addition, subtraction, infinity, or parallel lines to help us make sense of what we observe. Here's the thing. Think about the number 0. It wasn't always around. Different cultures invented it at different times because they needed a way to represent nothing. That sounds a lot like an invention, right? Consider pi, that endless number that describes circles. The ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter is always the same, no matter the circle's size. That fundamental truth feels like a discovery. But the symbol, the mathematical formulas we use involving it, the entire system we built to work with circles, those are definitely human inventions. So maybe math is both. We discover the underlying patterns of the universe, and then we invent the tools, the language, the symbols to describe and work with those patterns. It's like the universe whispers secrets, and math is how we write them down, how we try to understand that ancient, beautiful song. It connects our minds to the very structure of everything. Have you ever wondered why you truly believe certain things? It's a deep question your brain constantly works on, making sense of the world. How do those bits become something we hold as true? People have thought about this for ages. Ancient thinkers wondered how we know. They knew beliefs don't just appear. They're built from what we see, hear, what families teach, friends. Older sibling says a new video game is boring. You might not want to try it, right? That belief was shaped by trust. Even if you later play it and find it fun, that first idea can stick. Our brains often hold on to what they learn first, especially if it fits what we already think. Science shows our brains like creating a consistent story. We often look for things that support what we already believe. This is called confirmation bias. It's just how our minds try to make sense of a busy world. It's about simplifying things, not being wrong. So, our beliefs aren't just collected facts. They are woven from experiences, culture, feelings, and our brain's quick ways to understand. It makes you think, doesn't it? How much of what we believe is truly our own and how much is shaped by connections around us? It's a gentle reminder to always be curious, to softly question. Beliefs can change and grow, just like us. We live in 3 dimensions, forward and back, side to side, up and down. But what if there was another direction entirely, one we can't even sense? Our brains are built for these 3. Picture a flat drawing on paper. It knows only 2 directions. It can't imagine up off the paper into our 3D world. Yet we easily move in that extra way. A 4th dimension would be a leap like that for us. For centuries, smart people have wondered about this. One big idea is that time itself acts as a 4th dimension. We always move forward through time, even when we stand still in space. So you have your position in width, height, and depth, plus your unique moment in time. Imagine a simple shadow you cast on the ground. It's flat, two-dimensional. It only moves left, right, forward, or back. But you, the person, are three-dimensional. If you jump, your shadow briefly vanishes. It sees a sudden disappearance without understanding why. A fourth dimension might affect our 3D world in a similar, strange way. It's a tough idea to picture, right? Our minds struggle because we're so tied to what we can perceive. But trying to imagine something so vast and unseen, that's truly amazing. It reminds us there are countless mysteries out there. We explore them just by thinking, and that journey of pure wonder is powerful. Have you ever tried to count as high as you possibly could? Maybe 100 or 1,000. But what if you tried to count forever, never stopping? This question leads us to something truly big, the idea of infinity. Here's the thing. Infinity isn't a number you reach. It's not like saying 1 or a billion. Instead, it's a concept meaning endlessness, something without a limit. Imagine a road that just keeps going, never reaching a destination. That's a bit like infinity. For thousands of years, people have thought about this. Ancient Greek thinkers wondered if everything had a limit, or if some things truly went on forever. They debated if you could ever get to infinity, or if it was just an idea in our minds. They knew if you kept adding numbers, you'd never hit an end. So they called it potential infinity, meaning you can always add one more, but never arrive. Think about the stars in the night sky. We see so many, but there are always more, further out, beyond what our eyes and telescopes can reach. The universe itself seems to stretch on, perhaps without end. That feeling of vastness, of something boundless, is close to what infinity feels like. So if you tried to count to infinity, you'd never stop. You'd never finish. You'd just keep going, number after number, forever. It's a quiet reminder of how small we are, but also how big our thoughts can be. It makes us think about things bigger than us, things that might never end. It's a concept that opens our minds to the boundless nature of existence. Have you ever wondered why you just do some things without even thinking? Like truly not choosing to do them? Imagine touching something hot. Your hand whips back before your brain even registers, ouch. Or a sudden loud bang. You jump, heart races. These aren't choices. They're reflexes, deep automatic actions built right into us. We call them instincts. Here's the thing. Instincts are like very old, basic programs running in our brains. They aren't learned. You don't have to study how to pull your hand away from fire. You just do it. They are ancient survival tools, passed down through time. Think of our early human ancestors. Life was tough, full of dangers. If you had to stop and think about running from a saber-toothed tiger, you wouldn't last long. So, your body and mind developed quick, automatic ways to react. This helped keep them safe, live long enough to have kids, and pass on these instincts. For thousands of years, thinkers have looked at these quick, unthinking acts. They understood that something deeper was at play, beyond just our conscious thoughts. It's almost like a silent, wise advisor inside us. For instance, that quick jerk away from a sudden sound, or the fear some people feel around snakes or spiders, even if they've never been harmed by one. These feelings whisper to us from a very, very old part of our being. These are not conscious fears. They are rooted in our shared past, a kind of inherited memory of what kept life going. And that's why it matters. Instincts show us how deeply connected we are to all living things and to the long story of life itself. They are constant reminders that our minds hold mysteries, powerful forces working beneath the surface, always quietly looking out for us. It's a profound thought. So much of what we are and how we stay safe is simply given to us, a silent gift from time. Have you ever tried to describe the taste of a lemon to someone who has never, ever tasted one? You can use all the words you know. Sour, zingy, puckery. But until they actually put a slice on their tongue, do they connects to a much bigger question about understanding, especially when it comes to pain or suffering. It's one thing to read about someone going through a tough time, like losing a pet or dealing with an illness.
You can feel sad for them. That's empathy, which is important. But is that the same as knowing what it feels like in your own heart, in your own body? For centuries, thinkers have wrestled with this. They wondered if true knowledge only comes from what we live through. Can we truly grasp something profound like deep grief if we've only seen it from the outside? Think about a musician reading a complex piece of music. They understand the notes, the rhythm, how it's supposed to sound, but only when they pick up their instrument, feel the strings, and play the notes themselves does the music truly live inside them. They move from understanding the idea of the music to feeling its very essence. And that's why this question matters. It reminds us there's a difference between knowing about something and truly knowing it. It shows us the limits of just thinking and the power of actually living through things. It doesn't mean we can't care for others, but it makes us humble, teaching us that some experiences are so deeply personal, so much a part of being human. Only by walking that path ourselves can we truly feel their weight. It also inspires us to listen more carefully, knowing there's a depth to other stories we can only truly grasp with an open heart. Nong. Have you ever truly thought about how your brain holds ideas? Some feel solid, like facts. Others feel more like hopes or just things that seem right. So, what's the real difference between knowing something and simply believing it? People have asked this for thousands of years. Knowing means you have strong proof. You can see it, measure it, or test it. There's evidence, clear for almost everyone. Believing, though, often needs no hard proof. It's more about trust, a feeling it's right, or faith. You might believe something because it feels good, or because someone you trust shared it. Ancient Greek thinkers like Plato wondered if what we think we know is truly real. Later, René Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore, I am." He sought the one thing he could truly know without doubt. He realized even doubting proved he existed. For him, true knowing was impossible to question. Believing always leaves a little room for doubt. Here's an example. You know the sun will rise tomorrow. Why? You've seen it daily, and science explains Earth's spin. Clear evidence. But you might believe your favorite sports team will win the big game. You hope so, but no proof. Anything could happen. You know if you drop a ball, gravity pulls it down. That's a testable fact. But you might believe in a lucky charm. No proof it works, but wearing it makes you feel better. Knowing gives us certainty, a firm place to stand. Believing, while less. Certain offers hope, meaning, and a way to connect with ideas without hard proof. Both are powerful ways our minds make sense of the world. One helps us understand what is. The other helps us imagine what could be. Understanding this helps us think clearly about our own thoughts and those around us. Imagine, for a moment, hearing every thought around you. Not just spoken words, but quiet worries, secret hopes, tiny frustrations. It's not just words, but understanding hidden currents beneath calm faces. It's like a quiet hum in their head. This power has been dreamed of for centuries. Ancient thinkers wondered if true selves were hidden. They knew what we show the world is often different from what we truly feel. Reading minds means lifting a veil, seeing the unseen. It's about understanding us. But here's the thing. Would it be a gift or a heavy burden? Imagine walking through school. You see a friend laughing, but hear their insecurity about a test, or your teacher's stress during a lesson. Suddenly, the world isn't just faces, it's a million unfiltered thoughts. This immediate access would change everything. You'd know who truly likes you and who's pretending. You'd hear unspoken judgments, quiet sadness. It would be like hundreds of radios, all playing different personal songs. The volume would overwhelm. Knowing everything might mean losing some magic in human connection. Trust is built by sharing over time. If all was known, would there still be room for discovery? Would there be growth if hidden thoughts were always exposed? So if you could read minds,
You might find quiet spaces between words more important. Maybe not knowing everything is a gentle protection. It lets us connect as we choose. It leaves room for wonder, for getting to know someone slowly, and we get to choose. Have you ever heard a riddle so confusing it made your brain feel like it was tying itself in knots? A question where both answers seem right, but they can't both be true at the same time. That strange, almost impossible feeling. Well, here's the thing. That feeling is what we get when we bump into a paradox. A paradox is an idea, a statement, or a situation that seems logical, but then leads to a contradiction. It's like two opposite truths crashing, and suddenly, nothing makes sense in the usual way. It's a strange truth that twists back on itself, leaving you wondering if your brain just broke. People have been thinking about these puzzles for thousands of years. Way back in ancient Greece, thinkers like Zeno would pose famous paradoxes. He had one about a fast runner, Achilles, trying to catch a slow tortoise. Zeno argued Achilles could never truly catch the tortoise because, by the time Achilles reached where the tortoise would have moved a tiny bit further. This would go on forever. It sounds impossible, right? Yet, it matters. Paradoxes make us pause and truly think. Consider the classic question: what came first, the chicken or the egg? If a chicken lays an egg, the chicken must have existed first. But if chickens hatch from eggs, then the egg must have been first. Both ideas seem true, but when put together they lead to an endless loop, a puzzle without a clear start or end. Paradoxes aren't just tricky puzzles. They show us the limits of our everyday understanding. They challenge us to look beyond simple answers and consider how complex the world really is. They remind us that some truths can be messy, tangled, and beautiful in their confusion. It's about opening your mind to ideas that don't fit neatly into simple boxes, finding wonder in questions that might not have easy answers. Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain colors make you feel a certain way? It's not just your imagination. The colors around us, quietly, deeply, affect our minds and bodies. Think about it. A bright, sunny yellow might lift your spirits. A deep, calming blue could make you feel peaceful, and a vibrant red might make your heart beat a little faster. Here's the thing. Colors are more than just light reflecting off surfaces. They are energy. Our brains interpret these different energies, and over time, we've formed connections between certain colors and specific emotions or ideas. This isn't just a modern thought. People for thousands of years have believed in the power of color. Ancient cultures, like the Egyptians, used colors in healing rituals, believing different hues could bring balance to the body and spirit. Philosophers in later centuries also wrote about how colors seem to hold a kind of emotional language. Consider a hospital waiting room. You often see light blues or greens there. Why? Because these colors are known to create a sense of calm and safety. They help reduce stress. But then, think about the bright, bold reds and oranges you might see in a fast food restaurant. These colors can make you feel energetic, maybe even a little hungry, and encourage you to move quickly. So, here's how it works. These visual cues become linked to our feelings. It's a silent conversation between our eyes, our brain, and our emotions. So, colors aren't just for looking at. They are like subtle whispers to our minds, stirring up feelings we might not even realize are there. They remind us that our senses are deeply connected to our inner world, shaping our experiences in ways we often take for granted. This silent language of color shows just how amazing and complex our brains truly are. What if every star you see, every galaxy out there, holds secrets? And what if there's no one else out there to share them with? It's a question that makes you pause, isn't it? When we talk about being alone in the universe, it's not just about whether aliens exist. It's also about something much deeper. It asks if our human experience, our ability to think, feel, and wonder, is truly unique. Are we the only ones who can ask such a question? People have thought about this for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, long before telescopes, looked at the sky and wondered if there were other worlds like ours, perhaps even with living things. For example, some old Greek philosophers imagined endless worlds. They believed the universe was huge and probably full of life. But even when they thought about other life, they still wrestled with what it means to be a conscious being. Here's the thing. Even if we found a microbe on Mars, would that make us feel less alone? Maybe, maybe not.
Think about a single drop of water in the ocean. It might seem tiny and alone, but it's actually part of something massive, always moving, always connected. Every molecule in that drop affects others. It's not truly separate. In the same way, we are part of something incredibly big. Your brain, with all its thoughts and feelings, is made of the same stuff as stars. The atoms in your hand were once forged in a sun. So here's what happened. We are literally connected to the universe. We aren't just in it, we are it, in a way. Even if we never meet another thinking being from a distant planet, we are never truly separate. We are part of the cosmic dance, made of stardust, experiencing the universe through our own eyes. And that's why it matters. Our very existence is a connection. We carry the universe within us. Number 1, have you ever looked at someone, maybe even a stranger, and felt a strange connection? Like you've known them forever, or like they hold a piece of your own story. Well, what if that feeling wasn't just a coincidence? What if your twin, if you had one, was actually you from the future? It's a wild thought, right? Imagine waking up one day and there's another you living side by side. But this other you isn't just a clone. They've lived your life already. They know all the choices you're about to make, all the joys and the stumbles. This isn't about time travel in a flashy sci-fi movie way, with huge machines and zapping lights. It's more subtle. It's about a possibility that twists your understanding of who you are and when you are. For centuries, thinkers and storytellers have wondered about time. They've asked if our lives are already written, or if every moment is truly new. Ancient Greeks had ideas about fate, believing some things were just meant to be. Philosophers in later times debated if time was a straight line always moving forward, or if it somehow bent back on itself. This idea of a future self appearing in the present touches on those deep questions. It makes you wonder if our existence is more connected than we imagine, like ripples in a pond reaching back to their source. Think about it like this. You're trying to learn a new skill, like playing an instrument or mastering a video game. At first, you struggle. Everything feels hard. But imagine if your future self, who has already mastered it, could somehow whisper tips to you, or even just be there as a quiet reminder of what's possible. They wouldn't give you all the answers because you still need to learn, but their presence might guide you, a subtle echo of experience. Or consider a time you made a small choice, like taking a different path to school, and it led to something unexpected. Your future twin would have known that path. This isn't about fear or strange predictions. It's about the quiet wonder of what time truly is. If a future you could exist now, even as a hidden echo, it would mean that every choice you make, every person you meet, is part of a much larger, intricate pattern. It reminds us that who we are becoming is always connected to who we are right now. And maybe, just maybe, understanding that connection can make us appreciate each present moment, knowing it's shaping the you that will be, and perhaps the you that already was. This completely need that. You stop to think why one song makes your heart swell, while another just grates on your nerves. It's a deep question. It's not just simple preference like chocolate versus vanilla. Our connection to music runs much deeper. Here's how it works. A big part of it is how our brains operate. Your brain is a super smart pattern detector. When a song plays, your brain tries to predict what comes next. If the melody or rhythm follows patterns it knows, or offers a pleasant surprise it can quickly understand, we often feel good. But if it feels too random, too complicated, or just too different, it can feel jarring, and we might not like it. Think back thousands of years. Even ancient people like the Greek thinkers were really interested in music. They didn't just see it as entertainment. They believed music had a huge power to change how people felt and behaved. They thought certain kinds of music could make you brave, or calm, or even sad. This shows that for a long time, humans understood music wasn't just sound. It was a powerful force, touching our souls and shaping experiences. Consider this example from daily life. Imagine you hear a new song while having an amazing time with friends at a fun party. Your brain quickly makes a strong link between that happy feeling and the song. Then, every time you hear that song later, your brain instantly pulls up those good memories, and you feel good all over again. It's like how a certain smell, say, fresh-baked cookies, can immediately bring back warm feelings of being at home. But if a song plays during a difficult moment, your brain might attach those bad feelings to it instead, and you'll likely dislike it. Our life experiences really do mold our musical tastes. Sometimes without us even realizing it. It still really do.
I know I always just still long a jamming. Music we choose, and the adjusting aspect staff and weather and state. And there's so much more allowed at different many and this feeling staff.
So, the music we choose to listen to and the music we avoid isn't just random noises. It's about our unique personal history, our memories, and the very core of who we are. Our music taste becomes like a secret diary of our emotional journey. It shows us what truly moves our spirit, what brings us peace, and what ignites joy. It's a beautiful reminder that our feelings about art are deeply personal. And that's a wonderful, complicated part of being human. Mara Haley Costaban. Have you ever tried to draw a truly perfect circle? You pick up a pencil, you try really hard, but when you look closely, there's always a tiny wobble, a small bump, or a part that's not quite right. Here's the thing, your brain knows what a perfect circle is. It's a shape where every single point on its edge is exactly the same distance from its center. It's a flawless curve, but your hand, well, your hand isn't built for that kind of absolute precision. For a long time, thinkers have wondered about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, talked about ideal forms. They believed a perfect circle exists, but not in our physical world. It's a pure idea, a concept beyond what we can touch or see. What we draw or see in nature is just an imperfect copy of that perfect idea. It's like trying to draw a perfect straight line without a ruler. You can get very close, but it's never truly exact. Think about everyday life. Maybe you try to make your bed perfectly, or stack books in a completely straight pile. You aim for flawless, but there's always a slight tilt, a tiny wrinkle. It's the same with the circle. Our human experience is full of these small imperfections. Even a machine that draws circles will have tiny flaws. No physical object or human action can fully capture that ideal perfection that exists in our minds. So this isn't just about drawing, it shows us something deeper. Perfection, in its purest sense, might not be something we can ever truly grab hold of in the real world. It's more like a guiding star, an idea that helps us strive and improve. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the beauty isn't in achieving absolute flawlessness, but in the effort, in the continuous trying, in the journey towards an ideal we can imagine, even if we can't quite touch it. Mara Haley Costaban. Have you ever stopped to wonder just how small things can get? I mean, truly tiny. We learn about atoms in science class, how everything around us is made of these particles. But here's the thing, atoms aren't the smallest. Inside every atom, you'll find tinier bits, protons, neutrons, and electrons. And if you could zoom in more, you'd see that protons and neutrons are made of something called quarks. Scientists believe quarks, along with particles like electrons, might be truly fundamental. That means they might not be made of anything else. They act like points, with no actual size. So, is a quark the end of the line? Is that the very smallest thing? Our best science, using powerful machines, suggests these are the basic ingredients. But here's the puzzle. Can something really exist with no size at all? It's a mind bender. People have thought about this for a very long time. Thousands of years ago, ancient Greek thinkers wondered if you could keep cutting something in half forever, or if you'd eventually reach a piece so tiny it couldn't be cut anymore. They called that uncuttable piece atomos, where we get atom today. This shows it's an old mystery. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a crumb. You try to break it in half, over and over. At what point do you hit something that has no more halves to give? It's like trying to find the absolute end of a line. You can always divide it a little bit smaller. This question about the smallest thing pushes our brains to the edge of what we can imagine. Maybe the answer isn't a particle we can point to, but a deep idea about what reality is. And that's okay. Sometimes the biggest questions show us how much mystery is still out there, how much wonder is left to explore. It makes you feel small, but also part of something vast and endlessly curious. Have you ever wondered if the choices you made yesterday, or even years ago, have already set your path for tomorrow? It's a deep question, right? We all carry our memories, our wins, our mistakes. They are part of us, like layers of who we are. But does this mean we are stuck? Does it mean the past holds us in place like a track we can't get off? For a long time, thinkers have wrestled with this idea. Some believed everything was fated, planned out before we even knew it. They saw life like a river flowing in one direction, no matter what we did. Others said, no, we have a choice. They argued we have the power to change, to steer our own boat, even against the current. They believed in the freedom to make new decisions. Here's how it works. Think about your brain. It's always learning. It's like a path through a forest. The more you walk one way, the clearer that path becomes. Maybe you've always been shy, and that's a path you've walked a lot. But you can always choose to start a new path. It might be faint at first, but it grows clearer with each step. Say you made a mistake on a test. That past experience might teach you to study differently next time. The past isn't a prison, it's more like a teacher. It shows you what happened, what worked, what didn't. But it doesn't force you to repeat lessons. You learn from it, but you're not controlled by it. So, does your past define your future? Maybe it's not about being defined, but influenced. Your past shapes you, yes, like a sculptor shaping clay. But you, the person holding the tools today, can choose what to add, what to smooth out, and what new form to create. The story of tomorrow isn't fully written by the chapters of yesterday. You hold the pen, and each new moment is a fresh page. You can always write a new line. Have you ever stared at a cloud, and suddenly you see a face staring back? Or maybe a familiar shape, like an animal or a hidden object. It happens to almost everyone. This isn't just your imagination.
Tricks. It's a real thing called pareidolia. Sounds fancy, right? But here's what it means. Your brain is so good at finding patterns, it sometimes sees them even when they aren't actually there. Think about it. Our brains are built to quickly make sense of the world around us. For a very long time, back when humans lived in caves, seeing patterns was super important. Spotting a face in the bushes quickly could mean the difference between seeing a friend or a predator. So, our brains got really good at it, almost too good. Ancient thinkers, even artists and philosophers, have noticed this for centuries. They wondered why we try to find meaning in random shapes. It's like our minds are constantly looking for something familiar, something that makes sense, in a world that can often seem a bit random. We project our own thoughts and expectations onto the world. Remember those pictures of the face on Mars that circled the internet? Or maybe you've seen a piece of toast that looks like a famous person. That's pareidolia in action. Your brain sees two dots in a line and instantly shouts face, because it's the pattern it knows best. So, when you see a face in the clouds next time, it's not just a cloud. It's your amazing brain doing what it does best, trying to understand, trying to connect, trying to find meaning. It shows how powerful our minds are, always searching, always creating. It reminds us that sometimes the things we see aren't just out there, but also a little bit inside us too. It's a quiet reminder of how beautifully our minds work, making sense of the chaos, one imagined face at a time. It's a simple question, right? Like choosing what to wear or what to eat for lunch. But is it really that simple? Can you just decide to be happy, even when everything feels wrong, or when something sad happens? This question touches on something really deep about how our brains work and what it means to be human. For a long time, thinkers have wondered about this. Way back in ancient Greece, philosophers like Aristotle talked a lot about happiness. They didn't see it as just a quick feeling, but more like a whole way of living, a state of mind built on good actions and wisdom. They believed that if you lived a good life, full of virtue, happiness would follow. It was about training your mind and character. But here's the thing, our modern understanding of the brain adds more layers to this idea. We know now that our mood isn't just about choices, it's also about brain chemicals and things that happen to us that we can't control. Think about it like this. Imagine you're riding a bike, and suddenly, a strong gust of wind hits you from the side. You didn't choose for the wind to blow, and it might make you wobble or even fall. That's a bit like life's challenges or even just your brain's natural chemistry. Sometimes things hit you, and you can't just wish them away. You might feel sad or upset.
And that's a real, natural feeling. You can't instantly flip a switch to feel joyful. But here's what you can choose. You can choose how you react to the wind. Do you stop pedaling and give up? Or do you grip the handlebars tighter? lean into it, and keep trying to steer. This can help you understand the difference. While you might not always choose the initial feeling, you can often choose your response to it. Over time, those choices, how you react, what you focus on, how you learn from challenges, can slowly shape your overall state of mind. It's not about faking happiness, but about gently guiding your inner world, one small choice at a time, towards peace and contentment, even when the wind is blowing hard. Have you ever wondered about all the possibilities, like what if every tiny choice you made, even the ones you didn't pick, actually happened somewhere? This is the core idea behind the multiverse, or infinite universes. It suggests our universe, the one we live in, isn't the only one. Imagine countless other universes, each like a separate bubble of reality, floating out there. Some might be almost exactly like ours, maybe just a different color sock you chose this morning. Others could be wildly different, following completely different rules. People have thought about this for a very long time. It's not just a new idea from science fiction. Ancient thinkers, long before modern science, wondered if there could be many worlds beyond our own. Today, some scientists even explore this concept. They think about how the Big Bang, the start of our universe, might have happened many times, maybe creating an endless amount of these reality bubbles. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine you're playing a video game where you have to make a choice, go left or go right. In our world, you pick one path, and the other path doesn't happen for you. But in an infinite multiverse, both paths unfold. In one universe, you go left. In another, a different version of you goes right. Or think about flipping a coin. Here it lands on heads or tails. But in the multiverse, maybe there's a universe where it landed heads and another where it landed tails, and both are real. So, if there are infinite universes, what does that mean for you, for us? It doesn't make your choices here less important. In fact, it might make them even more special. This specific universe, this moment you're reading this, is unique to you. It can remind us how vast and mysterious everything is. And maybe, just maybe, it means that every dream, every possibility you've ever imagined, is playing out somewhere, in its own quiet way. A deep, peaceful thought to consider. Have you ever stopped to think about how you just know your hand belongs to you? Or your foot? It seems obvious, right? But it's actually one of the deepest mysteries your brain handles every second. Here's the thing. Your brain is constantly taking in
Information. It gets signals from your skin about touch and temperature. It also knows the position of your arms and legs, even without looking. This is like your body's inner GPS, always tracking where you are in the world. For a long time, people have wondered about the mind and body. How does our mind, not a physical thing, connect to our physical body? Hundreds of years ago, a thinker named René Descartes wondered this too. He thought there was one special spot in the brain for this link. But today, we know it's a constant conversation happening between many different brain parts. Think about it like this. Your brain builds a map of your body. It's always updating this map. If your hand touches something hot, that signal goes right to the brain, updating its map of your hand. Sometimes, this map can get confused. There's a famous experiment, the rubber hand illusion. A fake hand is placed in front of you, looking like yours. When both it and your real hand are stroked at the same time, your brain can start to feel the fake hand, as if it's part of your own body. This shows how easily your brain can be tricked by incoming signals. So, your sense that this body is yours isn't just simple knowing. It's a delicate, ongoing creation by your brain, built from countless messages. It's a quiet wonder, this invisible thread tying your mind to your physical form. A constant symphony of information making you, you. Have you ever wondered why tears fall when our hearts hurt? It feels strange, doesn't it? One moment, deep sadness. The next, water leaks from our eyes. This isn't just a simple body reflex. It's a deep, complex part of being human. For ages, people have tried to understand this. Long ago, the ancient Greeks thought tears helped remove bad vapors from the body when we were sad. They saw it as a simple physical cleansing, but we know now it's much more than just a drain for toxins. Here's the thing. Tears from sadness are different from tears you get from cutting an onion. Emotional tears actually contain stress hormones. It's like your body is literally flushing out chemicals that build up when you're really stressed or heartbroken. A tear isn't just salt water. It carries a physical echo of your inner turmoil. Think about it this way. When you're really upset, it's like a pressure cooker inside your mind. Sadness builds up. Crying can be like the vent on that cooker. It releases some of the pressure. It doesn't solve the problem, but it can make the intense feeling a little lighter, even for a moment. Philosophers across history have also thought about tears. They often saw them as a sign of deep feeling, a connection to what it means to be human. Crying shows we care, we feel. It's an honest expression that crosses all cultures. So, when tears come, it's more than just water. It's your body speaking a powerful, silent language. It's a sign of deep emotion. It reminds us that sometimes the biggest feelings need a visible way out, and maybe in those tears, there's a quiet strength, a deeper connection to truly feeling. What of those tell was still Astafets? Have you ever just stopped and thought about what it means to be you? Not just your body or your name, but that quiet inner feeling of being aware. That's consciousness. It's your own personal movie playing inside your head, the one only you can see. It's the feeling of seeing the color red, or hearing your favorite song, or even just knowing that you exist right now. For thousands of years, people have wondered about this, you. Way back in ancient Greece, thinkers asked if it was a soul, something separate and magical that lived inside your body. They wondered if the mind was different from the brain, almost like a ghost in the machine. Even today, scientists and philosophers are trying to figure out if consciousness is just chemicals and electricity firing in our brains, or if there's something else, something we can't quite touch or measure. Here's the thing. Think about a really advanced computer. It can do incredible calculations and even talk to you. But does it feel anything? Does it know it's a computer? It doesn't have that inner spark, that private experience. It doesn't wonder about itself. Now, imagine you're fast asleep, dreaming. Your mind can create a whole world, full of feelings, sounds, and even other people, all while your body is still. Where does that dream world come from? Where is your you in that moment? It's one of the biggest mysteries we have. We know consciousness is real because we experience it every single moment. But how does that feeling of I am come from billions of tiny brain cells? Is it like electricity? Is it more than that? We don't have all the answers yet. It's a deep question that makes us think about what it truly means to be alive, to be human, and to be uniquely ourselves in this vast universe. It's a feeling to simply wonder about. What do these guys around off or the grease to invest to give to step reforms? Imagine if your brain kept every single bit of information you ever came across. Every word, every face, every lesson, every song lyric, every random thought. It sounds amazing, right? Like having a superpower. But here's the thing. Our brains are not like computers. They don't just store files perfectly forever. Forgetting isn't a mistake. It's actually a vital part of learning and thinking. Think about it this way. When you learn something new, like how to play a new game or a complicated math problem, your brain makes connections. It builds pathways. But not all information is useful all the time. If you never forgot old, unneeded facts, your brain would get really crowded. Long ago, thinkers like the Greek philosopher Plato thought memory was like writing on a wax tablet. New ideas pressed into the wax. But over time, the marks could fade or get smudged. That fading isn't just loss. It helps make space for clearer, more important impressions. It's kind of like your phones. Storage. If you never deleted old photos or apps you don't use anymore, eventually, you wouldn't have room for new important ones. Your brain does something similar but way more complex. It prunes away the weaker, less used connections. This makes room for stronger, more important memories to truly stick. So forgetting isn't a sign of failure. It's how your brain cleans up, makes sense of things, and gets ready for more. It lets us adapt. It allows us to focus on what truly matters now and to learn new things without being weighed down by everything else. It even helps us heal from tough memories. Maybe, in a way, forgetting makes us more human, allowing us to grow and change, not just store. So forgetting, it's a sign of sign until a new room of life. It's a strange question, right? We all think we know what silence is. It's the absence of sound, a quiet room, a moment where no one speaks. But what if real silence, absolute silence, is actually impossible to find? Here's the thing. Our world is always buzzing, and even our own bodies make noise.
A long time ago in the 1950s, a famous composer named John Cage walked into a special room. It was called an anechoic chamber. That means it was built to absorb nearly all sounds. You'd think it would be the quietest place on earth, truly silent. But Cage said he still heard two sounds. One was his own nervous system, making a high-pitched ringing sound. The other was his blood, circulating, a low rumble. He realized that even when outside sounds were completely gone, his own body kept making noise. He was never truly in silence. Think about when you're in your own room late at night. The house is quiet, the streets are still. You might close your eyes and feel like it's silent, but if you really listen, you might hear your own breathing. Maybe your stomach gurgles a bit. You might hear the faint hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen, or the distant sigh of the wind. Even a tiny cricket outside can break that feeling of quiet. Our world, and even our own bodies, are always making some kind of sound. So, is true silence just a dream? Maybe it's not about hearing nothing, but about what we focus on. Perhaps silence isn't a place you go, but a state you reach deep inside your mind. A moment where the noise of thoughts quiets down. It's a reminder that even in the quietest moments, life is still happening. And maybe that's a beautiful thing. It makes us think about what empty really means, and how full life is, even when it feels still. Foregoing silence. Have you ever really stopped to think about light? Not just the sunlight that warms your face, but what light actually is. For a long time, scientists argued about it. Some, like Isaac Newton, thought light was made of tiny little bits, like tiny bullets flying through space. He called them particles. But then other smart people showed that light also behaves like waves, like ripples spreading out in a pond. Think of how sound travels in waves, or how water moves. This was a big puzzle. How?
Could light be both? It seemed impossible, like saying a single coin could be both heads and tails at the very same moment before you even flip it. But here's the thing, it is. Scientists eventually accepted this strange idea. Light isn't just one or the other, it has a dual nature. It depends on how you look at it, or what experiment you do. It's like how water can be a massive spreading wave in the ocean, but also a single tiny droplet. Both are water, but they show up differently depending on the situation. Light does something similar. It keeps its true nature, but shows different sides of itself. And that's why it matters. This idea, called wave-particle duality, makes us wonder about everything. It teaches us that the world around us might be more complex, more mysterious, and more surprising than we ever thought. Sometimes, the deepest truths aren't simple either-or choices. They're both-and possibilities. It reminds us that even when things seem to contradict each other, there might be a deeper truth connecting them. It's okay for things to be a bit of a mystery. In fact, that's what makes the universe so wonderfully fascinating. Have you ever noticed that strange, quick chuckle that sometimes escapes when you see someone trip, but they don't actually get hurt? It feels a little odd, maybe even mean, to laugh at someone else's brief awkwardness. But here's the thing. Our brains are doing something complex in that instant, trying to make sense of what just happened. Think about it. We expect people to walk smoothly. When someone stumbles, it breaks that expectation. It's a tiny violation of how things are supposed to be. For a split second, our brains register danger or surprise, creating a tiny bit of tension. But then, if they catch themselves or tumble harmlessly, that tension immediately melts away. This sudden release of worry and the unexpectedness of the moment often triggers laughter. It's like a quick, crisis-averted feeling, bringing a strange sense of relief. Long ago, thinkers like Aristotle observed that humor can come from seeing minor problems happen to others, as long as it's not truly harmful. It's not about being unkind, it's about the contrast. Your brain quickly judges, this situation is surprising, but safe. Imagine a cartoon character running, then suddenly slipping on a banana peel. We laugh because we know they aren't really hurt. They'll pop back up. It's the same feeling when your friend stumbles over their own feet but stands up fine, maybe even laughing at themselves. Your brain processes the violation of normal walking, then realizes it's benign, meaning harmless. So, that little burst of laughter isn't usually about finding joy in someone's minor difficulty. Instead, it shows how our minds quickly assess situations. It shows how we balance surprise with safety,
and how a potential worry can turn into shared, harmless amusement. It reminds us of the line between
What makes us worried and what simply makes us smile. Culture. Close your eyes for a moment. What do you hear? Maybe the hum of a fan, a car passing by, or just the soft whisper of your own breath. Now, imagine if all of that just stopped. Every single sound gone. Forever. It's not just quiet, like a library or an empty room. This is a true, absolute silence. No birds singing, no music, no voices, nothing. For most of us, sound is a constant companion. It tells us so much about the world around us without us even thinking about it. Here's the thing. Human thinkers throughout history have tried to picture what it would be like to lose a major sense. They've wondered how much our senses actually build our reality. For many, sound is more than just vibrations in the air. It's a way we connect to life itself. Without it, how would our understanding of the world change? Think about how you know a friend is coming down the hall just by their footsteps, or how the crackle of a campfire makes you feel calm. Or consider the feeling of hearing your favorite song, how it can make you dance or even cry. That's not just noise hitting your ears, that's emotion, memory, and connection. If all those sounds vanished, what would happen to those feelings? What would we lose? A world without sound would feel strangely empty, even if everything else stayed the same. It would be a place where laughter has no echo and goodbyes are truly silent. We rely on sound for safety, for communication, and for the deep, unspoken bonds we share. Without it, our world would be profoundly different, missing a huge, vibrant piece of what makes us feel alive and connected to each other. A mother X. Have you ever just stopped for a moment, looked around, and wondered, what's the point of all this? That feeling is the start of asking about the meaning of life. It's not a question with a simple, easy answer. Instead, it asks, what makes our existence valuable? What is our purpose here, in this vast, amazing universe? People have asked this big question for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers and wise people everywhere wondered about it. Some thought meaning came from a higher power, like we were here to play a specific role, like a piece in a big puzzle. Others believed we had to create our own meaning through our actions and connections. Here's the thing. Think about a blank canvas. On its own, it's just cloth. But an artist makes it meaningful by painting on it. They add colors and shapes. Your life is a bit like that canvas. You are the artist. You get to decide what you want to create on it. What stories will you tell? What colors will you add? This question isn't about finding one answer for everyone. It's more about a personal journey, an exploration inside you. It's about finding what makes your life feel full and good. It's about small moments of kindness, the dreams you chase, the connections you make.
something you build, day by day, with every choice. It's okay not to have one perfect answer. Maybe the meaning of life is simply the act of living it, fully and thoughtfully. Have you ever stopped to think about how you choose something as simple as what to wear? It feels so easy, so automatic, most of the time. But here's the thing. Making a decision is one of the brain's most complex jobs. It's not just about picking an option. It's about weighing countless pieces of information, often without us even realizing it. For centuries, thinkers have wondered about this. Ancient Greek philosophers like Plato believed that reason, our logical mind, should guide all our choices. They thought if we just thought hard enough, we'd always pick the best path. But human experience often shows us something different. We might know what's good for us, like studying for a test, but then we choose to play a game instead. Why? Because emotions, habits, and past experiences whisper to us, sometimes louder than logic. Imagine you're trying.
Have you ever smelled something, maybe a certain flower, or a particular kind of soap, or even the air right after it rains, and instantly, you're not just smelling it. Suddenly, you're back somewhere else. You're standing in your old kitchen, or you're walking through a park from years ago. Why does a simple scent have such a powerful hold on our memories? Here's the thing, our sense of smell is wired differently in our brains than our other senses. When you see something or hear something, those signals travel through several parts of your brain before they get to the areas that handle emotions and memories. But when you smell something, the scent signals go on a more direct path. They travel straight to a part of your brain called the olfactory bulb. And this bulb is connected directly to the amygdala, which deals with emotions, and the hippocampus, where memories are formed and stored. It's like a secret shortcut. For a long time, thinkers and writers have noticed this unique connection. They saw how a scent could pull someone back in time, deeper than a picture or a sound ever could. It's almost as if smell connects to the oldest, most primal parts of our minds. Think about it this way. Imagine walking into a bakery and smelling fresh baked bread. For some people, that smell might not just be tasty, it might instantly bring back memories of a specific family gathering or a summer morning at grandma's house. It's not just the smell of bread, it's the warmth, the laughter, the feeling of that past moment all flooding back. The scent acts like a quiet, invisible key, unlocking a door you didn't even know was there. So, a scent isn't just about what's happening right now, it's a whisper from our past, a soft echo of moments that shaped us. These smells remind us that our memories aren't just thoughts locked away. Sometimes they are living things, waiting for the right scent to wake them up and connect us to the quiet history of our own lives. Imagine you're trying to decide what to have for dinner. Your logical brain might say, "Eat the healthy salad. It's good for you." But your memory of that amazing pizza last week and the feeling of comfort it brought might pull you in a different direction. So you order the pizza. This isn't just a simple preference. It's your brain juggling immediate rewards against long-term benefits, past joys against future goals. Our minds often take shortcuts, relying on quick gut feelings rather than deep analysis. So, every choice, big or small, isn't just a simple line from A to B. It's a vast web of thoughts, feelings, memories, and hopes. It's a dance between the conscious and the unconscious. And that's why it matters. Understanding how we choose helps us understand ourselves better, showing us the deep, mysterious currents beneath our everyday lives. It reminds us that our brain is always at work, shaping the path we walk, even when we're not paying attention. Smelled something, maybe a certain flower, or a particular kind of soap, or even the air right after it rains, and instantly, you're not just smelling it. Suddenly, you're back somewhere else. You're standing in your old kitchen, or you're walking through a park from years ago. Why does a simple scent have such a powerful hold on our memories? Here's the thing. Our sense of smell is wired differently in our brains than our other senses. When you see something or hear something, those signals travel through several parts of your brain before they get to the areas that handle emotions and memories. But when you smell something, the scent signals go on a more direct path. They travel straight to a part of your brain called the olfactory bulb. And this bulb is connected directly to the amygdala, which deals with emotions, and the hippocampus, where memories are formed and stored. It's like a secret shortcut. For a long time, and right, it's a strange question, right? For most of us, words are like the air we breathe for our thoughts. We think in sentences. We understand the world by naming things. But imagine going back to your very first moments, when you were a tiny baby. Can you truly bring back that memory? The truth is, it's almost impossible. Here's the thing. Our earliest memories aren't usually stories told in words. They're often raw feelings. The warmth of a blanket, the comforting sound of a voice, the smell of food, a bright light, a feeling of comfort or discomfort. Before we learned to speak, before we even knew what words were, our brains were still taking everything in through our senses. They were building connections, making sense of the world, but in a way that didn't use language at all. Think about our ancient ancestors. For thousands of years, humans lived without the complex languages we use today. They saw a berry and knew it was food. They saw a storm gathering and felt a deep primal fear. They didn't have words for nutrition or meteorological phenomenon. Their understanding was direct, immediate, and raw. This can help you understand how much of our basic knowing comes from pure feeling and observation, without labels.
It's a bit like when you try to describe a really intense feeling, like pure joy or overwhelming sadness. Sometimes, no matter how many words you use, they just don't feel big enough. You know it, you feel it completely, but putting it into words feels like shrinking it. That feeling, that moment when words seem to fail, is a tiny glimpse of a time before language took over our minds. So, here's what happened. Words came along and gave us incredible power. They let us share complex ideas, build societies, and pass down knowledge. But they also put a kind of filter over our raw, direct experience of the world. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is truly lost, or perhaps gained, in that silent, wordless space our brains once lived in? It's a quiet reminder that some deep truths might exist beyond what we can ever speak. Have you ever wondered if the world you see, the one you feel, is actually completely real? It sounds like something from a movie, but it's a question that has quietly bothered thinkers for thousands of years. Here's the thing. Your brain isn't just a simple camera recording everything perfectly. Instead, it's constantly building your reality, moment by moment. It takes tiny bits of information, light, sound, feeling, and stitches them into the detailed picture you experience. Sometimes, when information is unclear, your brain has to guess. And those guesses aren't always perfectly accurate. Way back, even the ancient Greek philosopher Plato wondered about this. He imagined people trapped in a cave, only seeing shadows dancing on a wall. They thought the shadows were real, never knowing there was a whole world outside. Much later, a philosopher named René Descartes wondered, what if some evil demon was tricking him about everything he saw and felt? It makes you pause, doesn't it? Think about those optical illusions you've seen. Maybe it's a picture that looks like a young woman from one angle and an old woman from another. Or you might stare at a spiral and then look away, and the room seems to spin. The image on the paper or screen doesn't change, but your brain switches its interpretation. It's like your brain is picking one story, even if other stories are also true. So, if our brain can shape what we see, what we hear, what we feel, does that mean our personal reality is always slightly different from someone else's? It suggests that the world we know is very much built inside our own minds. It's a powerful thought, reminding us that reality isn't always straightforward. It makes us curious about our own minds and how truly deep the world can be. Have you ever wondered if there's a thought, a song, or an invention that is truly completely new? Like something that didn't come from anything that came before it? It's a big question, and here's the thing. Our brains work by connecting what we already know. We build on experiences and old ideas. Think about it this way. Almost everything we see or create feels new, but it's often a fresh mix of older parts. For a long time, thinkers have talked about this idea. They say that even the smartest people stand on the shoulders of giants. This means they use the knowledge and discoveries of those who came before them. It's not about copying, but about adding something new to what's already there. Take music, for example. A new pop song might sound totally fresh and different. But if you listen closely, it uses notes, chords, and rhythms that musicians have used for hundreds of years. The beat might be new, the lyrics might be about today, but the basic building blocks are old. The truly unique part is the way the artist combines these pieces, adding their own feelings and sounds to make something that feels special and different. It's like taking familiar Lego bricks and building a castle no one has ever imagined. So maybe a truly unique idea isn't something made from nothing. Instead, it's about how we take existing pieces, bits of knowledge, old thoughts, familiar feelings, and put them together in a way no one else has. It's about seeing old things with new eyes. That's where the real magic of human creativity lies, not in inventing from a blank slate, but in transforming and combining what's already there into something truly personal and wonderfully new. It shows us how deeply connected we all are, through time, to every thought that has ever been. Have you ever wondered why some people, or even some places, just feel right? Why do we feel that strong pull, that deep connection to certain things? Love isn't just about sweet feelings, like in the movies. It's a basic part of being human. It's a powerful force that shapes our lives in ways we might not even notice. For a long time, people have tried to understand love. Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, used different words for different kinds of love. They had philia for the strong bond between friends, like loyalty and shared respect. There was agape, a broader, giving love for everyone, or kindness to strangers. And then eros, the passionate romantic kind. They knew love wasn't just one feeling. It's a mix of emotions and instincts that make us want to connect, to care, and to protect. Think about helping a friend. You do it because you deeply care, not because you have to. Maybe they're sad and you just want them to smile. Or watch a parent protect their child even when it's hard. That steady drive is love in action. Our brains are built for this. When we connect, our bodies release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. This makes us feel good, safe, and connected, encouraging strong groups. It's like a bee colony sticking together. Cooperation helps them survive. We are social, and love helps us form bonds we need to do well, learn, and grow. So, love is more than a quick feeling. It's a deep part of who we are. It's a quiet strength that helps us move through the world and find our spot in it. It's the silent understanding that we are not meant to be alone.
Have you ever wondered if everything is secretly linked? Not just people, but every event, every thought, even the rustle of a leaf far away. It's a strange idea, but thinkers for thousands of years have explored this. They've asked, what if we are all part of one giant, invisible web? Think about old philosophies like the ones from ancient Greece or distant Eastern lands. Many believe there's a kind of universal energy or flow that connects everything. They saw the world not as separate pieces, but as one living, breathing whole. Each thing affects the next, even if you can't see the strings. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine dropping a small stone into a calm pond. The stone is tiny, right? But the moment it hits the water, ripples spread out. Those ripples go wider and wider, touching everything on the surface, reaching the edges of the pond. Your single small action, like that stone, can create a ripple effect. Maybe you say something kind to a friend and that friend feels better, then passes on that kindness to someone else. It starts with you, but the good feeling spreads, just like the ripples. This idea means that nothing truly happens in isolation. Every choice, every word, every discovery, it all sends out tiny signals. They might travel through shared air, through history, or through something we can't quite grasp yet. It suggests that your existence, even your smallest moment, is part of a much bigger story. It's a deep thought, making us wonder about our place and the quiet, unseen ways we're all woven together. It leaves you feeling like a tiny, important thread in a giant, beautiful tapestry. Have you ever closed your eyes at night and wondered, where do those strange, vivid stories come from? We call them dreams, and they feel so real sometimes. Here's the thing. While your body rests, your brain stays incredibly busy. It doesn't just shut off. It enters a very active state, especially during what we call REM sleep. That stands for rapid eye movement. During this stage, your brain is like a projector, showing you a movie. But this isn't just any movie. It's a film written, directed, and starring you, made from all the bits and pieces of your day, your memories, and your deepest feelings. For thousands of years, people have tried to figure out dreams. Ancient cultures like the Greeks and Egyptians often believed dreams were messages from the gods or hints about the future. They would even have special priests to interpret them. But as science grew, we started to understand that dreams are more about what's going on inside us. They're like your brain's way of sorting through the day's events, processing emotions, and maybe even solving problems you weren't consciously thinking about. Think of your brain like a giant, super-fast librarian. All day long, new books, magazines, and notes come in. These are your experiences, conversations, and thoughts. When you go to sleep, the librarian doesn't just close up shop. Instead, it starts organizing everything. It files away memories, cross-references ideas, and sometimes it pulls out random notes and tries to make a story out of them. That jumbled story is your dream. It's the brain's internal work, a kind of mental housekeeping that happens every night. So when you wake up from a wild dream, remember it's not just nonsense. It's your own mind quietly working, exploring, and making sense of the world you live in. Dreams remind us that even in our sleep, our minds are constantly alive, a hidden universe, always active, always trying to understand. It's a beautiful, natural part of being human, and one of the deepest mysteries we still get to wonder about. Have you ever been totally sure about something? Like the sky is blue, or where you left your phone. But then maybe someone else saw something different and your sure feeling isn't so strong anymore. Can we ever really know anything for certain? For hundreds of years, smart thinkers have wondered about this. A long time ago, a French thinker named René Descartes wondered what he could truly know. He decided he could doubt almost everything. Maybe his senses were tricking him. But he couldn't doubt that he was thinking. If he was thinking, he had to exist. So he came up with, I think, therefore I am. This means the only thing he felt certain of was his own mind working. Think about your own memories. You might remember an event clearly from years ago. You recall what someone said, what they wore, even how you felt. But often, if you talk to someone else who was there, their memory might be different. Science shows our brains can actually change memories over time, shaping them without us knowing. So what felt like a rock-solid memory might be a bit like a story we've told ourselves, changing slightly each time. So what does this mean for us? It doesn't mean we should doubt everything or feel confused. Instead, it invites us to be curious. It reminds us that the world isn't always as simple as it seems. It means being open to new ideas and understanding that our own view isn't the only one. True certainty might be rare, but the journey of asking questions, of wondering and staying open, that's powerful. It's okay not to have all the answers. Sometimes, the questions are the most interesting part.
Have you ever wondered about that moment, that exact second, when being awake switches to being asleep? It feels like a clear line, right? 1 minute you're thinking, hearing, seeing. The next, everything fades. But here's the thing. It's not really a sharp edge. It's more like walking across a misty field, slowly, where the landscape gradually disappears into fog. For a long time, people thought sleep was just a pause, a moment when the brain turned off. Ancient philosophers like the Greeks often saw dreams as messages from gods or hints about the future. They didn't really think about the transition itself, just the states. But modern science shows us something different. Your brain doesn't just switch off. Instead, it enters different stages. There's a phase called hypnagogia. This is the fuzzy borderland between waking and sleeping. It's when you might hear your name called or feel like you're falling, but you're not fully asleep yet. Think about it this way. Imagine you're in a boring class and your head starts to droop. You're still hearing the teacher's voice, maybe even understanding a few words. But your thoughts are getting hazy, drifting. You might even have a tiny, fleeting dream, like seeing a beach, before your head bobs and you jolt yourself awake. You weren't fully awake, but you weren't fully asleep either. You were on that blurry line. So, the line between awake and asleep isn't really a line at all. It's a spectrum, a gradual shift. It makes us think about our awareness, doesn't it? Our minds are always doing something, even when we think we're off. It's a quiet reminder that our inner world is constantly moving, always somewhere, even in the soft quiet of falling into sleep.
Have you ever felt that strong pull, that itch, to know something? Maybe you saw a weird cloud shape and wondered why it looked that way. Or perhaps you heard a strange sound at night and needed to know what caused it. That feeling, that deep urge to understand, is something very fundamental to being human. It's not just about passing a test or getting good grades. It's a core part of who we are. Here's the thing. Humans have always been driven by this need to know. Think about people long ago. They had to learn which plants were safe to eat or where dangerous animals lived. Knowing these things meant survival. So, our brains got really good at seeking out information. But over time, it became more than just survival. We started to wonder about the stars, about why we dream, or what happens after we die. Ancient thinkers spent their lives just asking big questions. Not because they had to, but because they felt this inner pull. This can help you see it more clearly. Imagine you're watching a magic trick. The magician waves their hands, and a coin disappears. For a moment, it feels impossible. But then, you feel a need to understand how it was done. You don't want to just accept it. You want to see the hidden move, the secret behind the illusion. And when you finally figure it out, there's that quiet aha moment. It feels good. It feels satisfying. That's a tiny glimpse of the craving for knowledge. It's like a puzzle our brains are always trying to solve. So, this craving for knowledge isn't just about collecting facts. It's about making sense of the world around us and our place in it. It's about finding meaning and connection, and that's why it matters. When we learn, we don't just fill our heads. We expand our understanding, and we become a little more connected to everything that came before us and everything yet to come. It's a quiet journey into the unknown, driven by a simple, powerful need to understand.
Have you ever wondered what your brain is doing when you're just existing? When you're not actively thinking, studying, or even talking? Here's the thing. Your brain is like a hidden city, busy even when you're asleep or just staring blankly. It controls your breathing, keeps your heart beating, and processes countless pieces of information without you telling it to. This isn't about conscious thought like deciding what to eat. This is deeper. It's the silent work, the background stuff that keeps you alive and helps you understand the world. People have wondered about this for ages. Long before modern science, folks thought about dreams or sudden gut feelings, or how memories just pop up. Even ancient Greek thinkers wondered about parts of the mind not under our control. Later, people like Sigmund Freud started exploring the unconscious mind, a huge part of our brain where thoughts, feelings, and memories live without us even knowing. It's like a massive library inside your head, always sorting things, even when you're not paying attention. Have you ever tried to solve a tough math problem, then gave up, went for a walk, and suddenly the answer popped into your head? That's your brain working behind the scenes. While you were busy with something else, a part of your mind was still sifting through the numbers, putting the puzzle together. Or think about riding a bike. You don't consciously think about balancing or pedaling. Your brain just does it automatically, letting you enjoy the ride. So, yes, much of what makes you you happens without you even knowing it. Your brain works tirelessly, always observing, learning, and protecting you. It's a quiet miracle, always on, always processing, holding more secrets and wonders than we might ever fully grasp. It reminds us that there's so much going on beneath the surface of our minds, a constant, unseen dance that shapes your every moment. And that's pretty profound.